Hello, everyone, and happy Easter. It is Easter Sunday night, and we have 2 weeks of comics to talk to you about to wind down your weekend. As always, I'm your host, Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, coming to you live from Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida. And we are going to have a great night because, like I just said, I've got 2 weeks worth of indie and small press comics to gush about, and it's going to be crazy awesome. I'm so excited. And to take it up another level of all of that excitement for indie small press comics, we are drinking another bottle of Bad Kids Press wine. I'm so excited. This is Red Menace. It's a Merlot. And we actually have a copy of this week of Adventures of the Galactic Wrestling Federation, which is on issue 5 and is the book that the Red Menace himself comes from. So if you haven't read it yet, we're going to talk all about that book in a little bit, but we're going to talk about this wine right now. I love it because they have Raul Gonzalez's art on the front and center, like all kinds of celebrating that Red Menace. And then they have this really cute thing on the back that says, Raul Gonzalez is an artist who lyrically and sometimes bluntly speaks to the soul. The Red Menace will hunt you down if you mess with him. Raul, Red, we love you both. Have a glass of wine and chill, okay? And so we're gonna have a couple of glasses of wine probably and chill. Always talk about these comics. So I'm gonna taste this because I've been waiting for this one for a month. Man, they make smooth wines. Man.
Really rich.
Yeah, it is really, really rich. That's so good.
It's really good.
Yeah. It's got just enough of a non-sweet kick to, like, cut it, which is fantastic. I mean, seriously, Bad Kids Press, they make excellent comics, but they also make excellent wine. And, like, please keep giving us wine to go with your comics because you are so good at it.
It starts sweet and turns robust.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like the Red Menace himself. He's kind of sweet and lovable, but man, is he on a vengeance mission that is going to get everybody hurt.
It's very, very warming.
Mm-hmm. It leaves a nice aftertaste. Like, so many wines, like, leave that acidic aftertaste. This one leaves, like you said, like, a robust, like, combination of flavors, a nice bouquet of flavors. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Thank you again to our friends at Bad Kids Press. Buy Bad Kids Press comics, and if you need a great place to buy them from Kamikaze Store, which they also run up in the Boston area of Massachusetts. They're amazing, wonderful people. I'm so excited that we got to finally try these wines. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna drink this. Matt and I have another bottle, so we may have 2 bottles of Red Menace today because it's so good.
I'm an amateur. I can't break that down. There's too much.
There's too many flavors in it. I know.
It's really complex.
Right. If you are watching, please tell us like what the flavor palette of this wine is. I know you might not be right now, but I know they do watch later on. So if we get that flavor palette for you guys and from the experts, we will definitely share it because I'm like, there's a lot in there, and I feel like no matter what I say will be right and wrong at the same time. So I'm gonna slide this over. I'm also going to share this stream so everybody knows that we're having a good time with our Red Menace and our comic books. Whoop whoop. Comics times 2. All right, and I'm going to slide this out of the way for sure because that just takes up space. I'm going to take another drink. I'm not going to lie. All right, and we've got some really cool stuff coming up really soon. First of all, if you don't know, we're only about a month away from Free Comic Book Day. So for those of you who have never heard of Free Comic Book Day, that's okay. You're in for a super big treat because Free Comic Book Day is a day when pretty much every store around the globe gives you free comics. It varies with store on how many free comics you get, but there are tons of titles to choose from at every store for kids, for adults, for anybody, like any kind of genre, whatever you are interested in. There's going to be a comic for you on Free Comic Book Day, so you can check out your local comic shop, and there's going to be all kinds of activities. Here, I have given all kinds of people a space to be here. So it is going to be a great day. We are going to have the book bus from Shelf Indulgence over in Sarasota coming out. So if you'd like to shop some novels for kids all the way through adults, they're going to be parked right out front. I'm so excited. That is definitely a treat for me as well. We are also going to have Gary Barker. We're going to have the amazing, wonderful team of Adrian Pruhome and Austin McKinley out here signing their secret exclusive that's coming your way soon. We are going to... Oh my gosh, who else do we have? We have so many. I believe Alfred Page will be joining us. There's going to be, fingers crossed, I know that we were talking about that. There's going to be so many cool activities. We're going to have caricature artist Troy Douglas out again. If you didn't get a chance to get a caricature from him last year, you got to stop by his booth this year and do that. I know the Customers with a Cause are going to be back out raising money for charity, and we're going to be letting you know what their charity is going to be coming up really soon. I'm really, really, really excited for Free Comic Book Day. And the weekend before that, April 27th, we have our Academic Avengers Training Academy again. So get those kids ready to come, ready to learn. It is a family fun day with all kinds of activities for all ages to just play in the world of comics, in the world of reading, in the world of writing. It's going to be so much fun. So that is April 27th from 11 to 4. Free Comic Book Day is May 4th. Also from 11 to 4. When you're done at Free Comic Book Day at Bad City, you're going to want to pop over to Lecom Field so you can see those Marauders have their Star Wars night. It's going to be awesome. I'm so stoked. It's going to be great. And speaking of the Marauders, this Friday and Saturday, April 5th and 6th, it is opening weekend for minor league baseball. We are going to be helping the Marauders kick off their opening weekend. We'll be out there Friday and Saturday night. Saturday night is firework night. It's going to be so cool. I have not gotten to see fireworks at Lecom yet, so I'm so excited to do that. And then there are so many other things going on. Oh my gosh. So also this weekend, April 6th, Saturday, we have Story Spelunkers, and we are actually expanding that. So Story Spelunkers are going to have their usual, like, let's talk about something we can learn from a story, but you can all come and participate because we are having a fun day early in the, like, that noon to like 2 o'clock in the afternoon kind of time period where we are going to be hunting for our own silver vessels. If you have not read this book yet, it's a brand new graphic novel from Maverick, which is the teen young adult imprint from Mad Cave, and it is by Steve Orlando. It's fantastic. It takes place here in Florida. It's all about a treasure hunt. So this Saturday, April 6th, here in the store, we're going to be doing our own treasure hunt. Come in, grab your scavenger hunt sheet, see if you can figure out those clues. Come for Story Spelunkers with your kids and figure out how we interpret clues and things from what we read, and then get your paperwork and come out into the store and try to find your treasure. It is going to be a blast, and there is more fun stuff to come with that event. You just need to be watching our Facebook page all this week to see what that fun stuff is. And we've got SiestaCon coming up May 11th. If you have not heard about this yet, this is going to be Sarasota's new all-inclusive, all kinds of fun Comic-Con. It is going to have comics, games, toys, celebrity guests, voice actors, cosplay, all kinds of stuff that you're going to want to come out and attend. We are going to be doing comic creation workshops out there. I am also going to be running a workshop for educators in which I will do my TED Talk, and then we are going to be in conversation about how to use comics in your classroom. So if you are a local educator, teachers, librarians, administrators, come out. It's only $10 to go, and kids under 10 and under are free, which is super cool. You can bring the whole family out for the day, May 11th, 10 to 7. And I know the voice actress who plays Rogue on X-Men and X-Men 97 is going to be there. Nathan Zerdy is going to be there. Andrea Moody is going to be there, and we're going to be talking about a book that Andrea does the art on in just a little bit. So this is going to be a fun thing. You can find more information at siestacon.com, or stop by here or Into Gaming or Darkside to learn more about how all of your local nerdy destinations are working together to bring this con to life for you in Sarasota. It's going to be so much fun. Put that on your calendar, May 11th, as a great way to spend time with your family. I'm going to hide these over here, and let's just be honest, I'm going to take another drink of Red Menace because it's so good. All right. And then, because I have 2 weeks of comics, we're going to dive in because there's just so much. And they're all so good. So thank you for tuning in right now. Buckle up. If you're watching this on playback later, just be prepared to, like, fast forward to your favorite books because there's 70 of them at least. So get prepared. We're going to do it as fast as we can, but still give you as much detail as we can about every single one of the titles. And we're going to kick it off with the conclusion of Newburn, issue 16 from Image Comics. I am both excited to finally know how they were going to wrap this and completely and totally sad that it's over. If you haven't read this, this is Chip Zdarsky and Jacob Phillips working together, which is such a powerhouse team for a crime noir story. And it is all about a man named Newburn who used to be a detective and now works to help. I'm going to turn that really fast. Okay. Now works to make sure that all of the crime families, like, don't go after each other. Basically, he's created, they have a black castle is what they call it, where all of the crime families meet to make sure that they're all on the same page. They don't go after each other for crimes against each other. And Newburn is their all-encompassing detective. Except Newburn's done. He's out. He doesn't want to do this anymore. We've learned now why he was doing it. We learned now why he went out. And so over the course of the 16 issues, he is training an assistant. And in this issue, we finally get to see her really come into her own as she is kind of having to decide, is she going to take over for Newburn or is she going to go her own way and just, like, walk away and let the actual police handle it? It is such a great, wonderful story. I love the way they did this because they kind of wrap us through a lot. She's always kept a journal through each issue, and they kind of show us her journal this time instead of just letting us see her reactions because it is now from her point of view more than ever before. So we get to see those moments that are the key, essential ones to her. I hope that this team comes back together. Chip Zdarsky is such a great detective writer. Jacob Phillips is obviously just been around the crime noir genre his whole life. And so being, the son of Sean Phillips. And so he knows what he's doing. He's a great artist in and of his own. I definitely hope we see more. And I bet we're going to see, some more Chip Zdarsky, Jacob Phillips nominations come out of the conclusion of this book. Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, issue 13 from Boom Studios. We are coming up to the end of this epic story from Jason Aaron. He has been giving us what started as a beautiful love story in the middle of an apocalyptic wasteland that has now turned into, that battle for not only survival, but for understanding. And so we have followed Masio and Mezzi through their entire time from teenagers to this old age adulthood as they have managed to make their way through the wasteland together, apart, together, apart, together. And now we are at that epic standoff that's going to come to the end, and we are going to face the consequences of all of our own actions, our own words we've spoken, decisions we've made, and they're going to have to do it together again if they're going to make it out. This has become such a great analogy for relationships and the ups and downs of them, and Jason has just really worked that through. And this back half has had Nick Dragotta on art, which has just been an absolutely stunning way to just he's really getting the darkness of this wasteland and yet pulling in the beauty of the relationship itself. It's so good. If you haven't read it yet, there is a trade paperback for the first volume, and I believe the second volume's trade paperback just hit. So you can catch up with those two as we get closer to that wrap for this end. I really think we probably only have 2 or 3 issues left. But I hope it ends happy. Please don't break my heart, Jason Aaron. The Dead Lucky, issue 12 from Image Comics. This is a part of your massive verse, which is your Radiant Black universe, but honestly probably the most removed at the same time. This is about a woman who was a platoon, squadron leader in the military, and she lost all of her team while she was on a mission, and she has suffered from PTSD and has literally been carrying around ghosts with her. And she has used those ghosts to kind of fuel her battle against the people who are the corporate greed that is taking over the city of San Francisco. And she has been fighting back against all of them and the things they're doing. And this is the conclusion to that story as well. This is her having to figure out how to not only use what happened to her in the past, but let it go in the right ways, or hold on to it in the ways she needs to. You know, she's really had to come to terms with everything, and she has to take these bad guys down once and for all if she's going to move forward. And it's an absolutely beautiful story. And again, one of the things I love about this book the most is that they do provide resources for people dealing with anxiety, depression, and of course, most importantly, PTSD. If you're not reading The Radiant Black World, please don't let the fact that this says it's in the Massive Verse stop you from reading this book. That's the best thing about the Massive Verse is Kyle Higgins has worked as an editor to make sure that every book is standalone, and only once a year does a crossover happen. So you do not have to know anything about those other books to jump into this and now finish the whole thing with this second arc. Speaking of wrapping up, Tenement issue 10 from Image Comics and the Bone Orchard Mythos team of Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino. So again, don't have to read other books, but your mission is highly enhanced by reading the other books in the Bone Orchard Mythos series. And honestly, I feel like everybody who's picked this one up has been like, I have to go back and discover what that means. What is this universe that they've created with the Passageway and 10,000 Black Feathers? And in this particular story, we followed a group of people who all live in an apartment building, a tenement, if you will. And they have one old man who has always been the loner and the weird guy, and something happens. They all end up basically going through the 7 circles of hell and learning about the 7 gods who control all darkness and all light and all everything essentially in the world and the balance therein. And this group of people really has to, I don't want to spoil anything, and I feel like everything in the back half of this is a spoiler, even though it's beautiful. They have to figure out their way out of this. Who's going to make it out? They're all kind of led by this little boy named Isaac. And that's really important. Every little detail in this, you can see that Jeff Lemire put so much thought into building this world that he's hinted at in the other pieces of the Bone Orchard Mythos. And we really see this kind of as your exposition almost to that if you are reading the whole thing. But if you're not, you just really get a great story here in this. And this is the wrap-up, which is why I can't show you the second half of the book at all, because it's giant spoilers, and I don't honestly know if Matt finished reading it, and so I don't want to spoil it for him. That's my kindness. I don't know where you are in the issue. The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos, issue 8 from Dark Horse and Tiny Onion, which is James Tynion's imprint. This is one of his books that he's kind of crafted out with Tate Bromble on actually writing the story. And it was actually a 2024 GLAAD nominee, which is absolutely deserved from the wonderful world that they've created. And issues 7 and 8 of this have kind of been a standalone story. We are living in a world that is all universal monster space, but we're following children who are like high school students who are dealing with people coming after them because they basically all have the powers of different universal monsters, and there's a secret society that is hunting them down and trying to destroy them. And in the first arc, they were saved by Adam Frankenstein, who, you probably better know as the creature or the monster, depending on how you interpret Frankenstein. This issue 7 and 8 have actually been Adam telling the story of his own coming to being, the maker creating him, and him kind of learning about his own mortality and morality, as the case may be. So we're getting the Frankenstein story from the creature's point of view, essentially, but modernized and to kind of fit into this world. And I really love the way they did that. If you didn't read volume 1 and you're like, I really want to get into this series, honestly, 7 and 8 are just something that will be a great way to see if you like the writing and you like the world building before you jump into taking on a whole first trade paperback. But if you're a fan of Universal Monsters and Frankenstein is one of the ones that you love, I highly suggest that you read this fantastic story in issue 7 and 8 for sure. The Nasty, issue 8 from Vault Comics and their Nightfall imprint, and this is the wrap-up of The Nasty. So if you haven't jumped on, now you're going to be able to get the whole thing at one time and go down this really awesome journey with these kids. This is about a group of kids who all hang out at a video store. Video store is getting, on the verge of being shut down because video is kind of starting to die, and they decide the best way they can do anything to save the store is by being the home host of the horror fest that goes around the world that shows all the like worst and most gruesome horror movies. And they end up hunting down one of the video nasties, one of those movies that nobody's ever supposed to see, called House of the Melting Flesh. And they end up actually playing the movie, and it gets eaten in the VCR. So they're like, oh my God, what do we do? Because we've already told everybody we have this and that we should host Halloween Horror Fest. And so they end up creating their own movie. And that gets them attacked by all of the people who are like, ooh, kids shouldn't be allowed to watch horror movies. Movies are rotting kids' brains. And in this issue, we actually see the arrival of all of the Horror Fest fans who have come to see this movie. And we get to see the production and whether or not it works out for the kids. It's fantastic. I love this book. It's so good about coming into your own. It's a great coming-of-age tale for horror fans. If you're one of those people like me who grew up on watching horror movies, and you feel like a lot of those stages that you hit in life can be marked by like the horror movie you're watching at the time, this really feels a little bit like home. And it's just another great vault title, as we always find. Kill Your Darlings, issue 7 from Image Comics and KLC Press, which is Ryan Stegman's imprint at Image. This is the story of two kids, one whose name is Rose, who is known for her imaginary world. When she was a kid, she created this imaginary land where all of the animals and creatures and things that she thought of came to life, and they treated her like she was their princess. And then one day, a dark entity took over and destroyed that world. And in the process, Rose accidentally brought harm to people in the real world. And so she was sent away to live in a mental home so that she could work through her depression and the things that happen. One day, a creature from her imaginary world shows up and takes her and her friend from the home that she's in back to the imaginary world to fight all of the evil that they have been facing. We are now at the point with this issue where we are starting to see the showdown come to life between her and the evil witch, essentially, that has been ruling over this dark world. And she is going to take her down one way or another because she's got to save her people that she's created and that she's given life to. So Princess Rose is back in action and ready to battle. I feel like we probably only have one more issue of that book left. Honestly, like, we've got Epic Battle coming in the next issue, and I think that that's either going to be the last one or we're going to wrap up by 9, which would be a weird number to leave off of, so who knows, but we'll see. Project Cryptid, issue 7 from Ahoy Comics. We finally get to see the man himself, Bigfoot, in this one. This has been going through just little case files of different creatures. And so the first one in this issue talks about the Jamaican crow, which is the story of a crow that kind of hunts people for their death and kind of comes and appears to you before you die. And maybe because you did something bad, maybe because you didn't. And it follows this guy as he spends his life trying to not be seen, not just by the crow, but by all of the things that he views in life could be crows, that could be coming after him and trying to cause his untimely death. And so we see him kind of struggle with that and where that leads him. And then we do get our Bigfoot story that I love because it's The Monster in the Window, and we see a parallel story of Bigfoot and his kids and a dad and his kids both staying in their respective forest and seeing the world through someone else's window, literally, as they realize that there's not much difference between monsters and man and their experience. And I just absolutely love the way that they did that. When they finally gave us Bigfoot, they did a really great story for it. If you are a fan of cryptid monsters, this is a series that is anthology style, so you can find the one that features your cryptid specifically, or you can grab the whole thing and learn about new monsters because it's really cool. Under a Blood Red Moon, issue 6 from Drin Productions. This is part of their Drin After Dark. It's their more adult storyline concepts for them. This one is all about vampires and werewolves and aliens. So if you were like, hey, who would win in a fight between vampires and aliens, and you always wanted to know, you're going to find out that sometimes there's they have to team up because a bigger issue and a bigger monster comes their way, and that is exactly what happened in this story. As aliens have now come and are trying to take out the moon so that werewolves can never change, and night may never come, and so vampires and werewolves might all be destroyed at the same time. And these werewolves and vampires can't stop fighting each other long enough to take these aliens down, except for a couple of girls who have been actually making things happen. Meanwhile, one of the aliens was bit by a vampire, and so we are actually, in this issue, kind of seeing vampirism run through the alien spaceship, which is super cool. But death, destruction, and a lot of big battles are definitely coming our way in the next issue. So if you like all of the monsters and you want to see things happen, you definitely need to grab this one for sure. Nights, issue 6 from Image Comics. This was actually our book club this last week. We did issue 1 of Nights and kind of tore into it and saw what was going on, because we always say this one is very much like the American adult version of a Miyazaki film, and so it was kind of fun to go in and take that apart. But in this, we've been following a young boy who's moved in with his cousin's best friend, Matt, who is a skeleton ghost, and a vampire, Gray. And Gray is so beautiful and so wonderful that he has fallen in love with her, basically like on first sight. And so now the young boy is trying to just have this wonderful experience with Gray, except in the last issue, Gray fell to her demise, essentially, and has been wrapped in this cocoon where she has found out that what she's always thought to be her vampirism is something completely different, and I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is. And so she is dealing with fighting that and figuring all of the issues out that come with that, while they are on the outside world trying to find a way to fight against the government and all the people that are coming for Gray, and coming for whatever darkness lies beneath this cocoon, essentially, that Gray is inside of. Again, it's weird and off the wall in all the ways that Miyazaki is, but still has all of that heart that you're like, oh man, I really just want these people to connect and have a beautiful experience. And so just try it out. It's such an interesting book. It always has a cool playlist that comes with each issue that'll set you up with some music to read while you listen, or while you read. Listen to while you read. There you go. I'll get there eventually. Midlife, or How to Be an Hero at 50, issue 6 from Image, is also the conclusion of this story for us. This is all about a guy who is obviously turning 50 years old, and he has worked as a firefighter his whole life, except he's never actually been inside of a fire, because he's really, really, really afraid of fire, because he lost his father to a fire when he was working as a firefighter. And of course, Dad's been known as the hero of the fire industry ever since then, and so he just feels like he can't measure up. Well, he finds out he has a superpower, and it is actually that he is resistant to flame. He can control it, he can walk through it, he can save people in it, he can do all kinds of stuff. And so him and his best friend have essentially been building out a superhero career for him. But now, a secret government agency has come for him. They are after him, they have kidnapped his friend, and he has to save them. And the only way he can do that is by learning who he really is. And so in the last issue, we got a teaser of what that might be. In this issue, we actually get the full story and how it connects to all the pieces that we've seen over the course of the last 5 issues. This issue 6 was a perfect wrap-up to the story, as well as just kind of giving us even more. Brian Bucoletto did Chicken Devils. He's a great writer, and I think he handles these miniseries so perfectly, because whenever you think there's no way you can fit everything into it, he does, and everything clicks into place so perfectly. And this is another great example of that. So if you haven't checked this one out yet, you should, especially if you're Gen X, because all of the things that he remembers from when he was young, like Gen X and Gen Y, you'd really love the jokes, because like he's constantly talking about like Batman and Robin and all of the superheroes and comics and stuff that he loved back in the 90s, and so it's a really cool one. Hollowed, issue 6 from Keen Spot. Speaking of aliens, we are jumping into some more aliens with this issue. This has been kind of a slow-moving, slow coming out book series. Not slow-moving in the action or anything in it, but this was about two detectives who were hunting down a killer. And in the process, one of the detectives meets this woman, only to find out that there is something completely and totally mysterious about her. And as they've investigated, they've learned that she is an alien creature who has come to their planet, and we learn why in this issue and what she has been trying to do. And essentially, they are no longer trying to stop a serial killer, but they need to figure out how to stop an alien invasion. And so these people who have hated each other for so long now have to team up together in order to figure out how they're going to stop this alien invasion. And there's so many weird twists and turns that have come from the story of this that when you're reading it, you're like, what just happened? Where are we going with this? And we constantly go in a new direction. And we're going to see probably in the next issue a big one-skin battle between these, because we are starting to see a lot of the series that started at the end of the year kind of hitting their end points or their climax points. So I really want to see how they work this out, because again, there's so many strange things going on in this story that bring them together. To bring them all together at the end is going to be crazy. I'm going to save that because I've got one book, and then we're going to talk about that book. So we've got The Holy Roller, issue 5 from Image Comics. This is done by Rick Remender and a guy you may know named Andy Samberg from Lonely Island, Saturday Night Live, all things Andy. What'd you say? Hot Rod. I was going to say, there's so many Andy Samberg things.
Kids like the Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine, for the young people who don't know him from any of those things I just named, which seem like young people things to me. I'm so old. This is the story of a guy who kind of never really accomplished anything. He left home because he was embarrassed by the fact that his dad was an amateur bowler, a very good one, mind you. And when he returned home because he was told that his dad was nearing his death, he found out that basically a bunch of terrible people in his community had taken over and were going after all of the different minority factions of his town and kind of really just doing terrible things to them. And so he decided the only thing he could do was become a vigilante. And the way he was going to do that was using his dad's bowling balls. And so very much in the Mystery Men kind of way, he is now like a bowling ball vigilante. And he is determined to take down this group of people. And he's got a best friend who is creating these gadgets for him and making like specialty bowling balls for him. But there is some intrigue, some mystery, some betrayal, all kinds of things happening. But this is really, honestly, just Andy Samberg and Rick Remender coming together to tell a story of somebody actually standing up to a lot of really terrible people. And I love how something that started out in issue 1 as like way too many jokes, like too over the top, like Andy kind of moments of this guy, like trying to give him like a personality that was just, you know, that kind of person, has now become like something where you're like, yes, I want to see this guy keep doing what he's doing because he is the kind of vigilante like the whole world needs. And you become Team Holy Roller really easily, honestly, as this book has gone on. All right. Now I'm going to take another drink of Red Menace because we are about to start talking about his book, The Adventures of the Galactic Wrestling Federation. And I'm going to take a drink because I just want another drink this one. Man, that's good. Look at these buddies. Look at him looking so cool on his book and his wine. He's so cool. All right, Red Menace. We're going to talk about this while also toasting you with another glass. I mean, Red Menace isn't even on the cover of the book, but I'll show you Red Menace in a second. Because Red Menace has been in a massive fight. Basically, in issue 1, we see his dad, who was also a wrestler in the Galactic Wrestling Federation, get killed. And by a crazy circumstance, and he's like, I have to I have to avenge my dad. I have to go after all of these people. And in the last couple issues, he has been, especially last issue, he was in this epic battle on a planet that's basically just for wrestling, and they were trying to trick his agent and his and scam them all out of all these things. And it's so great. I love seeing like the corporatees trying to like take advantage of them, and then like the way they're like, we're not gonna fall for that because of all these different things. But we also learned that somebody has stolen his very, very best friend, which of course is his dog. And so Red Menace, who has just gone through a major battle and who is very hurt and not ready for another fight, has to go save his robot dog, who's so cute, and realizes like in the process that he hasn't been a very good friend to any of his friends or his mom or anybody that's connected to him, because he's just been on this death mission, revenge mission, I guess I should say. And speaking of, he finds out that basically everything he's been working towards is not exactly going to work out the way he thought it was, and there's some new information that has come into play. And so we have just had our big shift in this issue to Red Menace kind of going, I've been like having that growth of I've been a bad person, I've been focused on all this, and then finding out that everything he's been focused on hasn't even been worth it in the end. It's so good. Like, you don't even have to be a wrestling fan to like this. It's just classic Bad Kids Press fun with all of the, you know, the little wonderful jokes and storytelling and commentary and everything that you need from a comic book, and a robot dog, and a very delicious wine to go with it. So cheers, Red Menace. I hope you find the revenge that you need, but more so the peace that will help you satisfy your soul. Oh, that is so good. Man, Red Menace, if your wrestling career doesn't pan out, your wine at least will. Don't worry, buddy. All right, next up, we've got Lotus Land, issue 5 from Boom Studios. This is about a man who lives in a futuristic society where a bunch of people as kids are kind of treated with these special powers, supposed to basically become a team of people who will protect this new society that we've built. And this man decided when he had his own kid that he wanted out. He didn't want his kids to go through all of that. And so he's lived off the grid. But something has happened, and a lot of the people connected to the place that raised him and all of the situations he's been through have started to be murdered and are missing. And so they've brought him in to solve the mysteries and figure it out. And he is struggling really hard to get this done in a way that doesn't end up with killing even more people. We're getting somewhere and yet nowhere all at the same time, because we are working with him on this crime, and it is not necessarily going anybody's way. Meanwhile, his wife, who had chosen to stay in the city, just had her first interaction with their son in years, and there's some weird stuff with the way they interact and the way the connection works, and I'm really curious to see more of that side and where this story is going to go. But as always, you're getting just a really big sci-fi world kind of moved into like this personal connection slower and slower as we get through each issue. Like, even though like the story itself gets bigger, the relationships we have with the characters seem to get smaller, which makes the story more well-rounded for all of us as we're reading it. And it's really growing through that. The Sire issue 5, or Sire Lost in Time, I should say, because I know he's had other volumes. This is also from Jun Productions. This is the story of the Sire, who is a character that's appeared in Jun Productions stories before. He is a superhero who's kind of like not a superhero by choice. Basically, something happened and now he has essentially judgment powers. When other people get powers, a suit appears on him that will not let him stop fighting somebody until it weighs those people as worthy or unworthy of their powers, and if they are unworthy, takes them. He ends up in a fight a couple issues back with a guy, and the suit, because the suit didn't find him worthy, only for them to both get sucked back in time and jumping back and forth through different places in time. And now it's kind of like they have to work together to solve bigger issues that are going on, and so the suit's kind of helping them work together. But now we got dinosaurs, we got feudal Japan, we got all kinds of time travel mistakes that they have made in the process of being angry at each other, and they're gonna have to get it together to get back home. And as that kind of comes comes to play. We do see that this is going to split into different stories. They're kind of going to go back into their own books. And so this arc is essentially like the wrap up for their combined story. And then there'll be books that will just feature those two characters on their own from there. Speaking of Bad Kids Press, we've got Katie Blackdragon, issue 5. This is such a great story. I love Katie Blackdragon. She is that crass anti-hero that just really, like, almost like you're a Deadpool-esque hero, who goes into all the places and makes all of the wrong decisions, but does it for all of the right reasons. And so in this issue, because they're almost anthology-esque, so you can pick up anywhere. This issue, Katie is on a mission to get a guy who has laser eyes, who is a criminal that she is bounty hunting, to pick up. And she's like, hey, I'm here, the mercenary. I've come to get this guy. And in the process of doing it, these other people come and they're like, no, we're actually the ones who are supposed to pick him up. And she's like, I don't have any record of that. I don't believe you. You seem like you're shady people. And then they drug Katie. And Katie has to go into this like drug realm where she fights all of the worst parts of herself, or all the parts that she's unsure of. And so she's fighting different versions of her own mind, and has to come like to terms with them in the weirdest, craziest, only Katie Blackdragon would have this scenario kind of way. And then once she puts it all together, she is able to actually fight these people and come out of like the worst of it. Or not. We're going to find out. Katie's got some issues that are really heavy for her. It's so funny, and Katie's so cool. I want Katie Blackdragon to be like a real person who does a signing at my store someday, because she's so cool. I just want to have a conversation with her. So, go Katie. Chopping Block, issue 5 from Keen Spot. This is another one that's kind of like slowly coming out. But this is the story of a guy who is essentially Jason from Friday the 13th, but with Norman Bates' mom. And so he's got a mom who is the woman who's not alive, who is the voice in his head, but is also kind of a talking skeleton at the same time. And he's recently made friends with a young girl in the community and this like evil eyeball monstrous alien thing, and they're kind of trying to just enjoy their friendship and their life, but his evil skeleton Norma Bates kind of mom is just not about to let that happen. And so in this issue, she is putting them through the test and trying to figure out how to make them do all of her bidding so that she can become this ultimate entity that she has been trying to do. And he doesn't know how to stand up to his mom, and the others don't know really how to stop her, so they're kind of all just stuck going along with it. And I really hope that in issue 6 he's finally going to be able to stand up to his mom and just defeat her, because I just want him to be happy. He just seems like he's not the evil, terrible person that she is, and so he should be happy. But you know, all of those original like older horror story the serial killers have really bad mommy issues, so he'll probably never figure it out. Charred Remains, issue 4 from Mad Cave, and Andrea Moody, who I mentioned will be at SiestaCon May 11th down in Sarasota, so you can go meet him and get him to sign your copies of your books, and CGC will be on site for that convention, so you can even get them graded if you'd like. This is the story of a woman who, when she was a kid, she saw a fire take her parents from her, and she was convinced that there was a man in the fire that was essentially made of fire and was awful, and nobody believed her. And now as an adult, she is still trying to hunt this fireman down, and she's not a firefighter, but she has all of the materials to kind of stalk what they are doing. And she's made friends recently with a firefighter who is like, hey, stay safe, stay out of it. But now he is starting to see the fireman, and so he is like, maybe I believe you, maybe we should team up, how can we stop this? And in this issue, they're kind of getting to that point where they're like, we're going to put this all together, we're going to figure it out. There's also this corporation that may be involved. I don't really know where they fall. They're just really, really shady, and I hate them, and they seem to be taking advantage of people in all kinds of capacities. Maybe because they're working with Fireman. Maybe just because they're terrible people. And corporate greed is an awful thing. I don't really know. But we're going to see how this comes to play, because some really crazy stuff happens at the end of this issue that's setting us up for something big in the next issue for sure. Mad Cave is crushing it on all things all the time, and this is no exception. So if you haven't started this series yet, get on it, especially if you're Bradenton, Sarasota. Like, get on it, grab these issues, because you're gonna want something for Andrea Moody to sign, and this is such a great one. There is actually the SiestaCon poster does feature the fireman from this book on the poster, and I believe they're going to be selling the posters at the convention, but we have one in the store that you can check out for sure. But Andrea did some really cool art for it featuring the characters from here and from Legacy of Violence. So also Mad Cave. Speaking of Mad Cave, Eden Frost, issue 4. This is the conclusion of this story, and I really hope that we get another volume. I hope that this is not the end, because I need so much more. This is a very tragic story of two kids who are trying to make their way through the snowy tundra, essentially, of the Russian area during, I believe it's the First World War, and they have been hunted down constantly, and their village has been destroyed. And they, over the course of the series, at one point they were staying with this woman who was kind of mistreating them. They met a young boy who they thought was on their side, only to find out that that might not be the case. And now they are once again facing off against some people who are just after them because of who they are. And because of who they are, they have their own built-in protectors, a force that they can call on. And the concept here in this book is, do you let yourself over to that force and that battle that stands beyond you, or do you wage the battle within yourself? And how do we balance those things, and how do we fight the injustices in the world? This book is really, really, really beautiful. These kids are just amazing characters. And again, Mad Cave, Volume 2. I got to hear Amit talk about this book at New York Comic Con, and he had so many beautiful things to say about his personal experience that ties to this. And just please, let's do more. Do some more, sir. This book was fantastic. Invasive, issue 4 from Oni Press, right? I'm not wrong. Okay, yes. I always cover it, and then I'm like, did I say that wrong? Yes, this is issue 4. This is also the wrap-up of this story. And this is all about a woman and a detective who both were on... Her daughter went missing a long time ago, and she's been trying to figure out what happened with her daughter, who was involved in one of those surgery, non-elective, elective surgery, we're going to show this grossness, situations. And the detective could never really solve that case or another case that was very similar to it. And now they are working together because new information has come up, and they are going after this alleged doctor who is leading a team of people who is just doing awful things, both to people who want to see it happen to them and people who don't. And in this issue, they have finally found the place where the doctor is held up, and there is a lot going on, and there is a lot that happens in this issue that I don't want to spoil. And I can't show you any of the back half of the book. This is another one because Cullen Bunn took this in a completely different direction than I was anticipating for an ending, and really just made this book almost more terrifying than the concept was in the beginning. And so, kudos, Cullen, for that. You went for it in all of the right ways to wrap this story up, and yet I was so ooh, are we doing that? Oh, okay. Oh, now we're doing this. It was so good. But again, this is not for the faint of heart. This is very, very graphic and very crazy storytelling, but it's going to, if you need a horror, if you're into body horror and really unelected surgery body horror, this is a 4-issue miniseries that you're going to need to read. Dr. Corvus, issue 4, and this is from, I always get it, Fantico. This is an adaptation of the novel series Children of the Abyss by Eric Stanway, and this is the end of this as well. So we had so many books ending this the last 2 weeks, but Dr. Corvus, this has been so much fun of a story to read. It's all about Dr. Corvus himself as and his pet rat, Plato, and a man that they have teamed up with who has come to them because Dr. Corvus is kind of like Sherlock Holmes. He investigates paranormal things that are going on in that old London town. And there have been all of these zombie-like people who have been attacking stuff, and they have said that they are raising a dark god who is coming to take back the town. And Dr. Corvus and Plato were on the case and trying to solve the situation, and it has gotten worse and worse at every turn. Dr. Corvus is not as good in the same way that Sherlock Holmes kind of seems to figure everything out way too quickly. Dr. Corvus almost figures it out 3 beats later than he should, and at the same time it makes for a really good story. It's been dark and creepy and fun to kind of see. The Plato the rat is hilarious. He's a great foil, and the situation as we solve it in this book is just it's classic Sherlock Holmes feeling. You've got an over-the-top elaborate ending to this story that you're almost there's no way, but yet it fits so perfectly. I haven't read the novel, so I don't know how true to the story it is and how much that adaptation is, but this is really cool pencil and inking work that makes for a great story addition on something that is kind of so Victorian. To have it so heavily inked kind of fit into it really well. So if you haven't checked it out, again, it's over, so now's the time to check it out. I don't know if Fantico makes trades, so if you're interested, grab those 4 issues and just read it now. Tales of the Bazaar presents The Most Dangerous Game, issue 4 from Journ Productions. This is one of those books where it's kind of lightly anthology and yet has an overarching story that goes through the whole thing. It is about a sorceress, essentially, who is trying to get out of this prison that she's been trapped in. And what she does is she kind of pulls stories, almost like the Crypt Keeper does, pulling these stories for us to see. And in this one, she finds the story of a guy who is as a big game hunter. He's not supposed to be. He's supposed to be like a regular mercenary, but he's always constantly going after big game while they're on these missions. And they end up going to this planet, and him and his partner, and she's like, hey, I'm going to work on the ship because I'm the only one that can fix it. You go investigate the community. And while they're out there, he's out there investigating the community, he runs across these alien people who are just talking about him as a big game hunter and all of the interesting things that he's found, and kind of building up to, what can you hunt on this planet, and where is this planet going to take you? And we're going to find out what that does for him and where that leads as we get towards the end of the story. And we're still building towards the idea of our sorceress getting out. And essentially, it's these stories that are powering her ability to break free. So I'm really curious to see if this big arc of this story is going to end with her getting out, or if she's going to not be able to collect enough stories. Masterpiece, issue 4 from Dark Horse. This is the story of a young girl who finds out that her parents were formerly spies who were a part of this secret society, and they had her, and they basically, something happened, they died, something terrible and tragic, and now she's a teenager, and all of these people are coming after her. All of these former enemies of her parents are coming, and they're like, you're the key, we need you, we're going to kill you, or we're going to use you for a nefarious game, one of the two. And now she's kind of building her own team as this key of people who are connected to her parents, or of teenagers who she feels like her either have some skill set, or who might just not want to see adults be terrible people. This is the newest one from Brian Michael Bendis that kind of puts us back into some of his old spy worlds. And it's actually like, whether you've ever read anything spy-ish that Brian Michael Bendis does, this gives you a whole new universe. You don't need to. And Brian Michael Bendis is actually, like, one of his things is he's really good at, like, these teenage characters and kind of giving them their own coming of age story in these hard times. And so I'm really excited to see how he wraps this up and where Masterpiece kind of takes this. Like, is she going to go, like, she's kind of in that Ocean's 11 stage of building her team right now, so I want to see where that leads her. The Ministry of Compliance, issue 4 from IDW, and one of the books I find to be the most underrated on the shelf right now. This is about a group of alien people who have been living in our world and have all of their basic British Parliament ministries that they kind of run, and it follows specifically the Ministry of Compliance, which has typically been this one woman who, if you're not complying with the rules and regulations of this alien world, she comes in with her giant katana sword and kills you. And she has recently taken on an apprentice who is actually half human, half alien, but nobody really knows that because that's not allowed. And so she has been working as a spy and supposed to be like working with the resistance of humans who are trying to stop the aliens, but nobody knows that on the inside. And the Ministry of Compliance is currently dealing with a lot of stuff because the aliens themselves, like the home planet, has completely disappeared. There's been a rebellion back there and an uprising, and so nobody can communicate with them. So they've been trying to figure out like what's going on and whether or not they're going to be able to get home, or if they're supposed to take over Earth, and nobody really, really knows what's going on in any capacity. And so we're seeing this in this issue kind of come to a head, where the rebellion gives our main character a job that she's not sure she wants to do, and our Ministry of Compliance has kind of figured out a lot of situations about the different people within the alien parliament that they're going to have to take down, as well as a lot more information about this rebellion. So we are at a huge turn where the next issue is definitely going to lead to some big boss battles and some huge revelations coming out to the whole world. Again, honestly, one of the most underrated comics on the shelf. If you haven't started reading this, even if you're not a sci-fi fan, like, this doesn't really feel like it's about aliens at all, because we've never seen any alien kind of reality. We've never seen another world. We're just kind of dealing with these two people who are trying to stop rebellions and start rebellions and kind of deal with all the different corruption and stuff within their own governments. It's really good, and more people should definitely be picking this book up. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, issue 4, also from IDW. This is a book that has had all of the popularity. So many people have come in and picked this up, and I'm so glad that you have, because this book is wonderful. It is Richard Scarry's a cute little adorable animals meets Dexter. And we've been following Sam, who is a bear who runs the local hardware store, and she's also a serial killer. But much like Dexter, she's got like processes and rules in place of how she does these things. She's not going to cause any problems where she lives. But suddenly a murder streak has broken out where she lives in her perfect small town. And she's worried that if somebody starts looking for a murderer, that it is going to lead them to her. And so she is, I don't want to show you anything in this book. So she is on the investigation. And in issue 4, she has figured out who the killer is and is going after them, but she is not alone in all of the decisions and things of people going after people and things happening. And this is the shakeup issue. Oh my gosh. Just read it. Anything I tell you at all about this issue will be a spoiler. So just read it. Enjoy it. It's amazing. If you're into true crime, if you're into serial killer stories, if you're into Dexter, you need to read it. It's all of those things, but with adorable Richard Scarry style animals. Like, you just expect to see the little caterpillar in the car, like Apple car driving down. It is so, like, for fans of Stray Dogs who were like, this is adorable, and we get to see like this creepy adult horror story kind of mixed with something cute and cuddly. This is another one of those that you kind of don't expect it, but the writing is so well done. The story is so good. And I, again, can't tell you anything in this issue without spoiling it. So just read Beneath the Trees. And if you have issue 1, you should just grade it, because I think they're still going for like $80 or $90 raw. The Bloody Dozen, A Tale of the Shrouded College, issue 4 from Image Comics. This is a part of Charles Soule's universe that he created last year with the Shrouded College. He kicked it off. He is going to have a bunch of miniseries within this, and in this story, we are following 3 people who have been assigned by the Shrouded College, which is a very nefarious organization that's like, hey, we will help you, but it's considered like get all of the knowledge or all the skills that you need, but once you do that, and you will owe us exponentially compounded on interest for all of the things that we give you. And essentially it's like getting stuck with student loan debt, except magical. This follows 3 people, a grandfather, a mother who is the daughter-in-law of the grandfather, and a daughter, all of who have not spoken to each other and are very, very at odds with each other, all brought together to go on this space mission to stop the release of people who are in a prison right beside the sun. And of course, who would you put in prison by the sun but vampires? And so they have been sent there to round up these people, because this prison is deteriorating and they need to take these vampires and keep them hostage in this certain get a new sun-filled place and bring them back to the Shrouded College. And everything on the mission is going wrong. And we're going to see this get really crazy for this family, There's all kinds of things that are happening. The further you get away from the sun, the further the vampires might be in the darkness of space. It's going to get dark, it's going to get gruesome, and bad things are going to happen all over the place. I feel like we probably have 1 more issue left to see how this plays out. And I don't see how it can possibly end well. But if you read Hell to Pay, which was the first book in the Shrouded College book, that didn't really work out very well either. So Charles Soule's not giving us a lot of hope with these books, but he is giving us some really cool stories. Worlds Away, issue 3 and 4. This is from Band of Bards. This is obviously a double issue because it's got 2 issues in it. And this is all about a mother and daughter who have crash landed on a planet, and they need a way off of it, and they absolutely cannot find enough materials to make their ship run. They end up running into a man and his daughter, and they seem to have this magical power, and the magical power seems to, kind of emit the stuff that they need to get off the planet. And so the mom's like, hey, I'm going to help them because maybe they can help us get off the planet. And they want help with getting rid of an evil sorcerer who's like, I'm going to destroy this world and I'm going to destroy you with it. And so they go into this battle trying to fight against all of these people. Things are bad. Doesn't really work well. One of the things we know about this kid and her mom is Serenity, the mother, is not somebody who makes the right choices. Mackenzie, the daughter, is constantly like, my mom is a terrible person. I don't think she's doing the right thing. And, Serenity's like, I'm doing the right thing by my daughter. And we see her constantly making choices that would essentially make her a villain in any other situation, but because she is making them for her daughter, it kind of puts her in this gray space. And she makes a lot more of those choices in this issue, and we're going to see how that, in the end, plays out for them, and whether or not Serenity and Mackenzie can come together and ever get past where they are. We're going to find out. Cobra Commander, issue 3 from Image, Skybound, and the Energon universe. That is your Transformers G.I. Joe crossover, hence the Cobra Commander. This is his own little mini-series. He is down in Florida, which I know a lot of my Floridian customers have been so excited about. And this has been the story of Cobra Commander kind of at the beginning. He gets the title in the very first issue. He wasn't actually a commander yet, and he has been out here trying to find the Energon energy that powers Transformers, Decepticons, Autobots, whatever. He is looking for something that he can use to power them because he has a plan. And Cobra Law has sent him out to do this battle, to find it, and he ends up in the Everglades of Florida, and it is has not been well for him so far. He has found some situation that has led him into a very torturous scenario. And in this issue, he has to find his way out of that in order to find this, what we used to call Allspark, but I guess we don't call it that in this world anymore. I think that might be licensed to the movie specifically. But he is going to try to figure out how to control all of the energy that controls all of the Transformers, and we are going to see how that plays out in our overall Transformers Energon universe coming soon. We've probably got, I think, all of the miniseries for the G.I. Joe realm are 5 issues long, so Cobra Commander's only got 2 issues to get stuff together. Dear Editor, issue 3 from Mad Cave. This is the wrap-up of Dear Editor, and dear God, Mad Cave, please give us some more of Bucky. He is so wonderful. He is a great character. So this is the story of an anthropomorphic deer named Bucky, who is an editor, hence the Dear Editor, for a newspaper. And in issue 1, he is trying to unravel a case that he's writing a story on, and it leads him down a very, very dark path that is like, hey, all of the officials in our community are corrupt, and they're the mayor, the other people that, like, city council, all these people, they're all involved in some very nefarious things and are all, you know, the cover shows it. They're all very vampire-esque people. And so Bucky has been trying to figure out how to take them down, what all the connections are. And I love it because the prose writing on this is so fantastic. Like the narration and everything that Bucky is thinking and all of his processes as he's figuring things out just kind of work really well for me to believe that he is this fantastic editor. But in this issue, he also realizes, like a lot of journalists do, that sometimes you think you have the whole story figured out, but you don't actually know what you're dealing with until it's right in front of your face. And Bucky has to put pieces together as quickly as possible in order to honestly survive the end of this issue. This was so good. Mad Cave, you could have given us like an ongoing for forever with this, because this was so popular. This is a fan favorite title right now at Bat City. So if you didn't read it, grab issues 1 through 3. You will love it, as so many of our other subscribers did. Cemetery Kids Don't Die, issue 2 from Oni Press. If you've ever thought that your video game was taking over your life, this is what that would actually look like. This is the story of a girl and her brother and their friends who are all into a very detailed RPG role-playing game online. And recently her mother has passed away, so this is kind of the only thing that's keeping her and her brother connected. Well, in issue 1, something happens to her brother, and he is essentially like stuck in the game. Injuries start to occur to him, and he ends up uncommunicative and in a very dire situation. And so the girl and her friends in this issue are like, we have to go back into the game. We have to figure out where my brother is. We have to save him, and we have to see how to actually defeat this game and see if we can survive. And so they go back into the game. She's starting to see clues. She's starting to figure out maybe there's something going on here. But the brother is no longer the only one that is seeing some physical transformations in the real world coming from what happens in the game. And so we're going to see if any of these kids can make it out. I love that the tagline is "You're only alive if you're online," because, you know, if you're not playing this game, what is going to happen to you? We're going to find out as the story unfolds. We've got the Six Fingers issue 2 from Image Comics, and I'm going to hold this up because we also in the last 2 weeks had the One Hand issue 2, and the reason I'm holding these up together is A, you can see that the covers kind of match a little bit, but also B, these are companion stories. So again, you don't necessarily have to read both, but in the sense of a companion story, you do get a full story by reading them. And this is Dan Waters and Ram V working on a universe where we've got a serial killer situation, and the Six Fingers follows that serial killer. This is the man who, as far as we know, is the murderer in the situation that is happening in this world. And we are seeing this book from his point of view with the Six Fingers. And in this issue, like in the first issue, we saw like the tragic situation that led to some transformation for him. We saw his girlfriend and him break up. We saw a lot of things kind of go down for him that could make him just a little erratic and worrisome. And in this issue, he's kind of trying to piece together some things that happened to him at the end of the last issue. And we see our first little tease of how these books might connect, other than just the actual paintings and things that we're seeing on the wall. But we do see some scene overlappage a little bit. But who is this man? Is he really killing somebody? Is he actually a murderer? Is he intentionally a murderer? We're kind of following him as he himself is figuring that out. And what's interesting is he's keeping this story log on his computer that, like, he doesn't even register that he's doing. So it makes for a really interesting story. Meanwhile, in the one hand, we are actually following the detective. And this detective in issue 1 was on the verge of retirement. He was literally, it was the day of his retirement. And they come in and they say that the one hand, the six-fingered man, the killer, is still at large. But as far as he knows, years ago, he put that man away in jail. And honestly, this is the second time that something has happened where they're like, that's not actually the man, the person you put in jail. We have found that he's still at large and this case is still open. And so he's like, I cannot retire. I have to stay here until I figure this out. And so he unretires on the day of retirement, and only to solve this case. And so he is now investigating the situation, trying to figure out who this six-fingered man is, and whether or not this is a copycat killer, the same killer, whatever it is, he's got to know, and he's got to put an end to this once and for all. And we are going to see if that is actually possible as one or both of these stories unfold before you. The Displaced, issue 2 from Boom Studios. What would happen if a sinkhole opened up and swallowed your entire town? This story is going to deal with that, but it's going to take it even further, because not only does a sinkhole open up and swallow this town, but there are a bunch of people who just happen to not be home in their town at the time. And now the sinkhole has swallowed their town, all of their families, their homes, everything are gone. But the weird thing is that nobody in the world remembers that the town ever existed. It's completely wiped out. Nobody recalls it. And nobody knows who they are. It's like these people never existed. And as like their credit cards don't work, their bank accounts are gone. Friends don't recognize them. Family members in other cities have never heard of them. And they are all having to figure out what they're going to do. Meanwhile, there's this like sage old man who's also kind of strange, who's like, this has happened other places before. If you don't stay together and remember each other, nobody will remember you at all. And we're going to see, you know, as these people, like, they're starting to break, they're starting to want to make people remember. They don't want to lose what they had any more than they already did. And so they are fighting against these people and fighting against the disremembrance that's happening and their displacement. And we're going to see if they can keep it together. And is there a way to stop it? Because if it's happened in other places and nobody's ever figured it out, who knows? So far, it doesn't look very good for anybody. You and I, issue 2 from AWA, and this is bringing back our Resistance universe. So when AWA first started, their first big book that they launched was The Resistance, which was all about a bunch of people who, during a pandemic, got sick, and those who lived ended up inheriting superpowers. Well, we had a bunch of stories that kind of came out of that from J. Michael Straczynski back then, and we haven't really had much with that recently. And now we are coming back to that, and we are seeing a character named Yu, who we don't really know where he came from. He just kind of appears one day, and the way he sees the world is big, elaborate. It's like almost like he's in a comic book. He's seeing all these people for their corruption, and it makes them see them as villains in a book that he needs to destroy. And so he is going after them, and in the process he meets a young girl named Isabel who was her father was somebody who got superpowers from the resistance situation, and she was also changed by it, but she didn't get the powers, and so she was kicked out of her family. They stole all of the money that was left to her, and so she's kind of just been on the streets, and she connects with you in this and is offering to help him and be a part of whatever it is that he's going on, kind of indirectly. She's like, I just want to keep you off the streets and keep you safe. And so he's like, you're the one I was waiting for, because it's you and I. We're meant to be partners. We're meant to solve this. And so we're going to see what this opens up, because it has been, 3 years since we've had a story within that Resistance universe. And so this is bringing that back, and we're going to see where J. Michael Straczynski is taking this world once again as he brings back his superhero universe within AWA. The Infernals, issue 2 from Image Comics. This is the story of essentially the Antichrist and the Godfather mixed together. If the Godfather had been the Antichrist, this is a man who was told that he was going to be the Antichrist. He was essentially bargained with the devil's son, however you want to look at it. And he has built a giant empire, and now he is going to pass away and has to choose a successor who will run this evil empire. And he has 3 kids, and he's like, okay, I'm going to choose one of them. And one of them is kind of like the prototype for exactly what you would want to take over your corporation, get everything done. The next one's kind of very much strategic and kind of in his mind, like almost like a tech bro. And then the youngest one is a girl who is still in school and kind of seems to have the most supernatural powers of everybody, but isn't in control of them yet. And so he must decide. And so in this issue, he actually sends them out to do a takeover of their own and of a company that is trying to take a product public. And he puts the middle child in charge to kind of see how it works out. And it does not go well, or the way anybody anticipates it to go. Meanwhile, back at home, while he's trying to deal with being on his deathbed and all the stuff going on, his ex-wife shows up. And his ex-wife has her own demons for a very special reason. And she is like, hey, just so you know, you and all of your demons have nothing on me, and I still own half of everything that was yours, and maybe I will take over, and I will rule this empire, and I will be the Antichrist, and I can't wait to see what she does next, because she had plans. Oh, I put this completely out of order. I guess we were on Jill and the Killers issue 3, and I thought it was issue 2, but this is also from Oni Press, so pretend like I put this in the 3s. Sorry, I can't count. This is the story of a young girl named Jill, who her mother was a detective, and she went missing. And as far as Jill is concerned, she's probably gone forever at this point. But of course, the dad's still holding out hope. Jill's been gone from school for a year, and when she comes back, she finds out that everybody in school is obsessed with true crime. And so to win back her friends, she's like, hey, we're going to do this investigative game thing, and we're going to play this true crime game. But what shows up is actually real crime situation, real body parts, real pieces of a puzzle. And so her and her friends are now trying to solve a murder mystery, and they need to do it quickly, because if they don't, their own friend who has suddenly gone missing is possibly going to be the next person to be murdered. And so Jill and her friends, and those who she may not want to be her friends, have to solve this mystery. But Jill is getting way too deep, way too quickly, and she is probably taking off way more than she can chew. I love this book. It's so well done. I love these characters. Jill has so many problems that she needs to work through, and I'm constantly yelling at the book to get Jill to stop acting the way she's acting, but I still really need to solve this murder, and I hope that we figure it out. Dutch, issue 2 from Image Comics. This is all about the character Dutch, who is kind of your gruff old man who used to be a really great spy, had all of the skills and assets and everything. Didn't work out for him. He's retired. He's crotchety. And now the bad guys have come back, and Dutch has to is like, I'm going to take him down, and he tries to do it the right way. He goes back to the CIA, essentially, and is like, hey, we all used to work together. There's bad things are happening, and they're like, we're not listening to you. You're you're retired for a reason, get out of here, only for a new attack to happen. And he's like, hey, see, you can't deny I was right, stuff's happening. And they're like, oh, fine, yes, stuff's happening, but you need to stay out of it. And he's like, that's not going to happen. And so he kind of sets himself up for the fact that he goes on his mission himself. And in the second half of this issue, we see his investigation skills and how they kind of work out or don't work out for him. And we just set up a bigger and bigger adventure of bad guys coming after Dutch. Honestly, if you're a fan of Cable, I think you would really like Dutch as a character. He's very similar in that like half like almost Cybertronic like experience, big guns kind of situation, and surly man. So from very futuristic tech. So check it out. If you find this, I'm Already Dead, issue 2 from Dark Horse. This is such a cool concept for a story. This is about a girl who's a journalist who gets to go to an alien planet where we've had a base and we're kind of been at like war, or at least trying to like substantiate not being at war with aliens. And when she gets there, finds out that everything is way worse than anybody has ever been told. And so the whole like squad that she's with is destroyed, and she is now on this planet, like on her own, trying to figure out how to survive and recount her entire story while she's there. And so she has been living in the underground, trying to stay away from the aliens, but also trying to infiltrate them enough to get information about what is going on. And we are getting her story as she relays it back in. I like it because it works so well because they can say like, oh, time has passed, I haven't been able to write anything. And so they're able to jump a little bit between issues on how long she's been there. Because this will probably be a 3-issue miniseries if I can recall. Maybe it'll be longer, but I want to say that it's 3 issues. But we're gonna see if she makes it out. Obviously, if we find this, she's already dead. But how she's going to connect with these aliens or what's actually going to go down, we're seeing that, no matter what race you are across the galaxy, a lot of the situations remain the same, and she's trying to figure out how to be a part of like this justice, but also not get lost in it all at the same time. It's very much like what does a war journalist do, but putting it in an alien planet. Coins of Judas, issues 1 and 2 from Band of Bards. And this is, we have already had issue 1 come out, but now they've put it as a collected edition because it has been a minute since issue 1 came out. And this is our friend, Travis Gibb, who does this series. And, issue 1 is super cool. If you haven't read issue 1, this is the story of, 2 siblings who are from a family that is part of essentially like a secret society that they have to stop demons. There is, the belief that the coins that Judas was paid when he betrayed the Christ were cursed, and when he tried to give them back, essentially it like opened up demons to the world. And that is like a long-standing piece of like the story that we've heard in lots of different like portions of this mythology, like both in this story and throughout other stories. And so they are part of the secret society that has been trying to collect these coins, and in it try to sanctify them so that they can get rid of the demons that are connected to it. And in issue 1, we see the sister has been released finally from prison for an arson that she started, a fire that she started, and she was obviously trying to do it to get rid of some demons. We kind of see that backstory. And she finds out that while she was in prison, her brother has sold some of the coins that they collected as a family to some other like people, and now they're bringing demons back, and now all these demons are here. And she's like, what did you do? Why are you just the absolute worst? Now I'm stuck fighting and I didn't want to. And so they end up having to fight a bunch of demons and this other society. And so issue 2 kind of contains that fight where she's like, okay, you know what? Look, these people have awakened 3 different demons. We're going to have to do something about that. I can't just walk away. And one of the demons is the very demon that killed their parents. And so they're very determined to fight against that. And of course, she's like, I don't want to be a part of this world, but I literally can't walk away because there's demons blocking everywhere around me. So she has to step back into it for a moment and fight. This essentially is like a giant oversized one-shot with both of these issues in it, which is going to lead us into a series, a new series that's going to come of these two characters and the situation that they're in. So if you want to get to know this before all of that starts, this is just a great way to do it, because you do get one full story in here in an oversized issue, 2 issues in one, really, and you get that great Band of Bards paper quality, which I love so much. Speaking of Band of Bards, we've got Working Class Wizards issue 2. This is also a double issue. Band of Bards has been giving us these oversized issues this week, which has been super great. This is about a wizard who is kind of the only one that is still fighting for good. Basically, there was wizards, elves, dark magic, all the things, and like the wizards worked with the elves to stop all of the dark magic, and now over the course of time, only this one wizard is still working to stop the bad guys. And it's in the 70s in Chicago, and he has found that a dark wizard is trying to open up dark magic again everywhere. He's trying to get the elves to stop it, but he's also found a barbarian for the first time in centuries, and he's like, now I have a fighter. He finds a woman who is somebody who is a maker, so she can make all the weapons and things for them to use. So he is determined to finally put an end to all of this. And of course you get your great scene, let me see if I can find it, where he goes to talk to the bad guy and is like, this is your chance. I'm offering you the chance to get out of this. And it's at a Cubs game. And he's like, I'm offering you a chance to get out of this. This is, make the right choice. And while he's having that conversation, they order 2 hot dogs. And the demon is like, can I get ketchup? And he's like, seriously? Like, I'm offering you a chance to make the right choices, and you're asking for ketchup on a hot dog in Chicago? What's wrong with you? And I'm like, I love this. I love that that's, like, how you determine who the demon is the guy in Chicago that asks for ketchup on his hot dog. That's how you know he's a bad guy. He's a dark wizard, for sure. And so he is opening up the world to dark creatures and monsters who are going to come after them, and they are going to have to fight all of these with a very small team. And we're going to see how that works out for them as the story unfolds. It's hilarious. It's got great characters. I really want to see these people obviously win. And it's got all the heart that a Band of Bards story is known for. So check it out if you like magical fighting and great, the urban fantasy. That's what I'm looking for. The stories that take place in the real world that have all the magic. You gotta drink that great red Menace, man. It's so good. Like, Matt's ready to come back for more. All right, we got some number 1s. Woo-hoo. There was a lot of number 1s in the last few weeks. So we're going to kick it off with Morning Star, which is from Mad Cave. This is about a family who the dad has recently passed away, and he was in the woods when he passed away and it is in 1956. He was in the woods, there was a fire, something happened, he didn't make it out. And so we then fast forward to right after his passing, and his wife is trying to reconnect with her kids and her family. Like, her sister comes and is like, hey, you need to move home. Mom will take care of you. Like, mom's rich. She wants to raise her grandkids her way. Come home. You don't need to stay here. And she's like, nope. We're going to stay in Montana, and we're going to go camping this weekend, and we're going to get to say goodbye to my husband in the way that I want us to do. And so they go out to the same area where her husband was, a part of the fire, and they go to stay in this tower. Well, her son seems to have, he hasn't spoken at all on the issue, but he has this very active imagination and keeps seeing monsters and other things. And we are going to find out as this story unfolds if any of that is real. Maybe he's seeing things that are actually there and nobody else does. Maybe there's more to why their father died than we know. Maybe he is still there. I don't really know. There's so many unanswered questions. This was one of the best, first issues get you excited about all the things, like where you're like, I really, really just love all these characters and want to know what's going to happen to them. And then as you get into it and you're falling like into these characters, you're like, I have no idea actually where the story is going. And the only little like blurb that they gave us is no electricity, no telephones, no transportation, no escape. And I'm like, where is this going? What is going to happen? I don't know if it's horror, if it's sci-fi, if it's just a family, like a survival story. We don't know. We're going to find out in issue 2, and I can't wait to see where this goes at all. It's going to be so good. Sam and Twitch Case Files, issue 1 from Image, and this is written by Todd McFarlane with art by Simon Krasinski, who does Something Epic. This is the story of Sam and Twitch, who are 2 detectives who aren't doing a very good job of detectiving at all. Sam is known for being crass, taking things too far. He, in the first couple of pages, is meeting with an informant and ends up slamming his head on the table and kind of overdoing it. So he gets suspended, which also gets Twitch suspended because they're like, hey, you should do a better job of watching your partner. And he's like, what? How did I have anything to do with this? Why am I being, expected to maintain what Sam does? We all know Sam's over the top, and they're like, will you make excuses for him? And then Twitch gets a call from a friend who's like, I have, and I love this twist in the art that I have to show you. I have a case that I can't solve, and I need your brain and the way that you work, and you're going to have to come out here and help me with this. And so Twitch has to kind of make a decision on whether or not he's going to go out and help. Obviously, you can see from the cover, it's McFarlane, it's Image, it's got the man on it himself. Spawn is in the background. So, who knows where this is going to go? Is this going to be a part of your Spawn universe? Is this...
This is volume 3 or 4. Sam and Twitch are in the Spawn universe.
They're in the Spawn universe.
We have the action figure here in the shop.
Yes.
From series 5.
But so I'm like, I don't know if we're going to see this story, though, connect, or if we're telling a story outside of it, because he's not in this first issue. At all, but he's on the cover. So, right, but he's on the cover. So are we going to see Spawn connect to this? We know they're in the universe. Is he going to be there? We're going to find out. But we do have action figures for people who want Sam and Twitch.
Yeah, the old one from the 90s. We also have a bunch of the Sam and Twitch issues.
Do we?
Yeah, from volume 1.
Ooh.
2. Yeah.
All right,
and a bunch of the trading cards.
Wow.
They're like as popular as Spawn.
They are they're really popular, yeah. But this is great because this is a good jumping in point. Because they do bring it to now, like the kids are like that they bring in are playing Mario Kart. And so they're like talking about like, oh, well, we were just playing Mario Kart, we were doing this. So they like modernize it by bringing it to like right now, and it's not like you have to go back to the 90s. You also don't have to know anything about Spawn. Which I thought was really important. So far, if you don't know the Spawn universe, you're not going to be lost. And Simon Krasinski doing art just makes me happy. A Place of Our Own, issue 1, and this is from Black Rose Publishing. And this cover was drawn by my friend Ken Salinas. So that's, I actually ordered the book before I even knew anything about it because I wanted to support my good buddy Ken. This is actually a one-shot that could open up a very big world. But it is about a kid who feels like he doesn't belong, is struggling with all of his emotions, his anxiety, his depression, and he ends up letting that out, essentially, and finding that darkness come to him. And that darkness is like, hey, I can build you your own world, a place where you can be safe. You don't have to be afraid here. And you can just kind of live in happiness. And so he's like, okay, well, what do I have to do? And so they build this world out, and then he kind of starts trying to bring other people into the world, like other people who are dealing with their own darkness and saving them. And so it seems like, this thing might have nefarious purposes, but we're kind of trying to figure that out as we go. Like, is this his darkness and he's learning to control it, or is this darkness going to control him? Like I said, this is a one-shot, but could easily bring you a lot more a lot more story if they wanted to open up and do a full series to come after this. And I love the way it ends, so I'm not going to tell you. But this is, it's got the voodoos on here. This is Kinslinus's, his big thing is the voodoos that he does. And you can get lots of cool colors. He's done Ice Cream Man covers with his little characters and things like that too. So you can always check him out on the internet. I believe he's just Kinslinus Art on Facebook if you want to follow him. Ghostbusters Back in Town, issue 1 from Dark Horse. I feel like I may have spoiled the entire new movie for myself by reading this, because I'm pretty sure that this is, like, at least connected to the plot of the new movie, and I haven't seen the last, I'm going to call it Paul Rudd Ghostbusters, but if you have, maybe it's not as much of a spoiler, maybe it is, I don't know. But considering this came out at the same time, it's probably pretty close. But I was all in because it's David Boer writing it, and I'm a huge Canto fan. And this does have the characters from the new movie world, like you did, like that is like Paul Rudd, not on this page, but that was the Paul Rudd adult characters in here, and we are following him, the woman that he is in a relationship with, and her 2 kids, and they are all the Spangler family. The kids are, at least, and they are moving to New York, and they need a place to live, and so they are offered the Ghostbuster house, and they have to put it all back together, and these kids are, it is obviously after the first movie, because these kids know about Ghostbusters, and they know how to fight ghosts and do all of the things, and so now they're like, hey, are we going to fight ghosts in this town? You get to see them go to new schools, and how terrible that can be for them, and trying to fit in, but you also get to see them kind of just dealing with typical, like, build out your house, is it haunted, and then some Ghostbuster stuff. If you're a fan of Ghostbusters, in any capacity, you're going to love this book. If you are a fan of the new Ghostbusters series, you absolutely need to get it, because it obviously goes right in line with it. And again, I don't know if it's connected to the new plot, but I feel like I know what happens in that movie series now because I read that. Horror and Fantasy Illustrated, Cradle of Shadows. This is a one-shot from Zenescope. This is the second book from Zenescope that is a part of this, like, new direction that they're going in, where they're kind of just focusing on horror and sci-fi stories more so than some of the stories, the high fantasy and that particular art style that they've always had before. This is a 48-page horror story that takes place in space. It is all about a guy who is like, I think that the government is mining resources off of the moon. When we do our investigations with our towers, we have been seeing all of these, our satellites, we've been seeing all these towers pop up on the moon. I think it's the government. I think they're mining resources. So he hires a team and starts planning his own space mission. And then they realize that somebody has leaked that they're going to go to the moon. And so they're like, we have to just go now. And when they get to the moon, what they learn is not exactly what they thought it was. They are like, these are definitely man-made towers. And they're like, what if it's not men? What if it's something else on the surface of the moon that has been living there? And they encounter some things. And that is not even all. That's just like, we're not even halfway through the story at this point. And so you get a really, really good sci-fi, crazy alien story. And again, it's a one-shot, so you get the whole thing. You get corruption, you get betrayals, you get aliens, you get multiple kinds of things going on. You should grab it. If you're a fan of space horror, like alien kind of movies, you should definitely be reading that. The Dust Pirates, issue 1 from Keenspot. This is a brand new pirate adventure. It follows a pirate named Black Sam as he goes on a journey to find Atlantis, and he is mostly trying to like deliver water and do different things to people in his own world, but he's like, hey, let's go to Atlantis, let's see what's out there. And him and his pirate companion ends up getting entangled into a situation where a witch is like, hey, y'all are the only people who can destroy the evil king that's been running Atlantis, and Atlantis people are like, we are trying to just survive, and our king is evil, and we get to see the evil king, and he's totally off his rocker. Classic pirate story with a little bit of a sci-fi twist to it. And I think that we don't get enough stories about the lost city of Atlantis in comic books because there's so many cool things you can do with it. So the fact that we're getting it with a pirate story is just a lot of fun. If you're fans of classic pirate tales, this is going to be a great one for you to jump into for sure. The Dawn Runner from Ramby, issue 1 from Dark Horse. This is the story of a world where giant titans have essentially crashed to our Earth, and we end up finding a way to contain them, and then the government is like, okay, we need to study them, we need to figure out if this is like an alien invasion, if they're coming after us, we need to figure out if there's a way to like use what they're doing, but of course, that's only what the scientists want. What the government wants is to destroy them and to use them for entertainment purposes, and so like this the guy in charge has created mech suits that they use to fight against these giant Goliaths so that they can have entertainment on the TV and also take out all of the potential adversaries at the same time. And the number 1 mech fighter of these things just happens to be his daughter. And so she has been given a new suit, which is the Dawn Runner. And the Dawn Runner is supposed to fully sink within her brain, her heart, everything, so that she is no longer like a person controlling a suit, but the suit and her are one person. And she goes into her first fight using the Dawn Runner, and things do not go exactly how you would plan. And of course, it's Ramby, so we've got like this beautiful story that is definitely coming to us through this action and adventure, and I can't wait to see what he does as he unfolds this, because where he goes with this and the things that happen once she actually takes control of the Dawn Runner are gonna be great. Little Black Book, issue 1 from AWA. This is the story of a man and his wife who are kind of living in a small town in Texas. They don't have much money. She's pregnant, and they're kind of just on their own, living their lives. And a lawyer shows up and says, hey, just so you know, I'm here to tell you your father passed away. And the guy's like, I haven't seen my father or heard from him in over 20 years. I assumed he was already dead. And he's like, nope, he wasn't. And it turns out that you have inherited a house that he had out in Arizona, so you need to move over there. If you want, it's yours, you can have it. And he's like, I don't want anything from my dad. And she's like, well, I do, because we need a space for us and our baby. And so they end up moving, and when he is doing some construction on the house, he finds a little black book, and it talks about all the cleaners and things like that his dad has used, and all these different things are like struck out in the book. And she's like, I think that your dad was into killing people. I think he was like mobsters or something kind of crazy, like hitman or something. And he's like, I have no idea, nothing. I just know my mom didn't want me to connect with my dad at all. Well, days go by, they're living there, everything's fine, and then his wife is on her way back from somewhere in the middle of the night and ends up hitting a woman, and she's like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, just stay where you are. And he decides to invoke the powers of this little black book, and we are going to see what kind of path that takes them down as the two of them fall into whatever it was Dad was into. It's gonna get crazy really fast, and I love that Frankavilla cover. Miss Fortune's Eyes, issue 1 from Sumerian, and this is an all ages story. This is definitely really good for young readers. It's actually written by a teenager, so it fits really well for kids. I had a 7-year-old read it at the store recently, and she really enjoyed it. But I've also read it, and I have a couple of other adult subscribers that picked it up this week that all enjoyed it. So it is one of those truly all ages books. And it is about a young girl who feels like she doesn't connect with anybody in the world, and it's just her and her mom, and it's her birthday, and like literally nobody comes to her party, and she's like, I'm on my own, the world doesn't accept me. And on her birthday, a woman shows up that's like, hey, I'm your grandma, just so you know, and you have psychic powers, and you're a part of a whole realm of psychic people that need to be trained, and I'm going to take you back to where I'm from. If you want to go, you can train. And the mom's like, she's not going anywhere. And the grandma's like, well, you know, it's part of the process that she gets to choose. And so the girl's like, I want to feel like I belong. I've started seeing all these weird things. I think that I'm a part of this. I want to go back. I want to go there. And when she gets there, she finds out that the reason her mom is not connected is because something happened years ago, and the mom was essentially like kicked out of the town, and everybody doesn't trust her because she is the daughter of her mother, but her grandmother is like on this ancient council. So it's like, well, you're accepted because your grandmother, but we really don't trust you because you're related to your mom. And she's having to figure out how to survive this, because she went to this place thinking she was finally going to belong and that these powers meant she was a part of something, and yet she doesn't feel like that's the case at all. It is so good. You get your classic like young adult coming of age through your magic kind of story. What's really cool is this is issue 1 and 2 essentially. Like, it is a 2-part story in here, so it's an oversized issue, and it's only $4.99, which is awesome that they are like, here's 2 issues for $4.99, get into it. And you definitely will. It's really already heartwarming. There's some intrigue and some investigation and some just crazy stuff that's going on. It is like the kid version of 7 Years in Darkness, honestly. Like, with how dark 7 Years in Darkness is, this is like the Halloween Town version of that. It feels very, very much like Halloween Town, and I love it so much. Vengeance is for the Living, issue 1 from Floating World Comics. This is the story of a woman and her husband, and they are attacked by some seedy people, and something happens, and she doesn't know what happens to her husband and her kids. She's like, they may have been killed in the process. Nobody will tell her. She wakes up from a coma. She can't speak, and everybody's just basically like, you don't need to worry about what happened to them. You just need to get better. And she's like, where are my children? Where's my husband? And she actually is remembering what happened, and everybody's like, oh, don't worry about it. And you don't remember, that's better. It's a trauma thing. But she actually remembers everything about how she handled this situation with these people that attacked her. And when she ends up going home and thinking that she's just going to kind of take a minute to get better, like, she's like, I'm going home. I'm not going to stay in this hospital. I need to do this because I need to figure out what happened. And some people break into her house, and we get to see that vengeance is for the living. This woman is not backing down. This is an excellent story of like that woman who saw her family get murdered and attacked, and she's like, I'm gonna come for everybody that ever had anything to do with the people who attacked my family. And it is awesome. So if you didn't pick this up this week, grab it. It's another one of those like oversized issues, but we're gonna get to see this woman. This is issue 1. It's not a one shot. 1 of 4. So, yeah, you're going to see the start of some, like, bad mother kind of violence and adventure. Bristlemouth, A Cove of Horror, issue 1 from IPI Comics, which this is the launch of IPI Comics. There's actually even a letter in the back. It's like, why would you start a publishing company right now? And their whole story about why they wanted to do this. But this is the story of a cove of horrors. Sorry. And we're following a man who lives out in the middle of nowhere and has one of those, like, oh, you can come out for camping retreats that are out in nothing lands and kind of get away from it all. And so he has a group of people who are all nurses who come out because one of their friends has just experienced a big tragedy, and because of that she's been very depressed recently, and we kind of just see her depression before we see her go on this trip with her friends. And of course they've got the two friends who are excellent friends, and the one guy who is just a drunken idiot and can't stop making jokes, and everybody's like, who even invited you to come on this trip? So, like, he's probably going to die at some point, very early on in the story, if I had to guess. But they go out to this cove where it used to be a city that was supposed to be, like, the next big city for all of the industry of, like, chopping down wood and stuff, and then one day everybody just kind of disappeared, and now you can only get there by this one man taking you out, essentially. And so he's like, I kind of take care of the ghosts that live here. And they're all like, okay, like, strange man. And then he leaves them out in the woods for their camping trip. And I mean, it's called a cove horror. Like, we know bad things are going to happen, and this issue kind of just sets up everybody. It sets them up getting there. It kind of tells you a little bit about the guy and what's going on in the town, gives you a little bit of that backstory. And over the next 3 issues, because it is a 4-part series, I'm sure we're going to see a lot of people die in very crazy ways, and it's going to be just a great horror story. Speaking of great horror stories, Pop's Chocolate Shop of Horrors. This is our newest Chilling Adventures one-shot from Archie Comics. Basically, in this story, Pop has no customers at his store because Jughead has decided that he likes a new restaurant in town. And when Jughead says he likes a restaurant, everybody goes there because obviously Jughead knows everything about food. And so people are like, let's go eat where Jughead's going. And Pop's like, how do I get customers back? And the devil shows up and is like, hey, I'll make you a deal. I think that you have the best food in the entire world, and I would like for you to cook for me in the afterlife when the time comes. If you make a deal that you'll be my chef, I'll help you get Jughead back. And Pop's like, I know how to get Jughead back. What I need is for you to take out this other restaurant. And so Pop makes the deal with the devil, and we get to see how that plays out for him, for Juggy, for other people in the area like Hiram Lodge. It is, we get some past, present, and future stories about Pops and the things that he does to keep his restaurant going at all times. It is classic Chilling Adventures, on the lighter side, not like Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is the only like super dark one. This is more of that fun-filled dark like horror that they've been doing. My Little Pony. This is Main Event. This is a cute little hair anthology. They've been doing a lot of My Little Pony like one-shots and recreations of like musicals and books and movies, and so this one's just a little one-shot that features a bunch of different stories about the ponies getting their hair done and having some hair-raising adventures, if you would. We get a story about one of the ponies who always has the best hair and is always perfectly conditioned, and talks about how it means a lot to him to get ready in the morning and use his time to look his best. And then some things happen that make his hair go wild and crazy, and he's like, all right, maybe I need to try some new things. And then we get some stories of making your hair the best it can be and having a nice spa day. And honestly, the whole thing is just about like accepting yourself and relaxing and loving yourself the way you look, and just having some really great friends and some really great fun. And I just think the My Little Pony stories are something that everybody should be reading for enjoyable experiences. Bad Girls. This is a one-shot in your Local Man universe. Local Man 10 is coming out next month, so we're getting this little one-shot to kind of bridge the gap between that last arc and where we're going next. But this is essentially a modernization of your 90s Image titles. They've actually said, like, essentially you could put these stories back into pretend like these characters actually existed there. And so we are normally following Crossjack, who was a superhero with the third gen of heroes in the Image universe, but now over the last couple arcs, I guess, he has solved a bunch of mysteries and murders because he has not been, even though he's not allowed to do that because he was kicked out of superheroing. And we have found that his childhood sweetheart has made some very, very bad choices. And in this issue, one of the heroes from the third gen of superheroes has come to kind of put the heat on this woman. Like, she's in hiding and nobody's supposed to know where she is, and Neon, the superhero, has come and been like, look, I found you. I can tell everybody where you are, or I can personally take you out myself, but I'm not going to if you stay in line. And then we also get to see the backstory of this character. We get to see Neon's backstory. We get to see her connections with Crossjack. We get to see some of the other characters' backstories. We get to see the backstory of characters that we heard about from the 4th gen that were all impacted during the Local Man stories. So all of the superheroes that have kind of been tertiary characters in the Local Man story, they're fleshed out in this one shot, which makes for a really great way to do that by giving us a new narrator. I actually really love Neon now. I think she's a cool character, and I want to see her come back and be a big part of the next arc, because I really like her backstory and how she formed, and I want to see where she goes from here, and just a little bit more of like her now connection. But they mention Shadowhawk. They mention like 4 other 90s Image characters. So like they literally, I looked it up on Wikipedia, because every time I read a Local Man issue, I'm like, am I wrong? Like, did this character already exist? And so I looked it up, and it's like, it is a modern day character that is meant to be a part of the 90s Image characters that existed, and this is supposed to like essentially modernize that story. And so they've built all these characters to fit into that world. And so you're just supposed to retcon it and assume that all of these characters actually exist, which I was like, oh, because isn't there like Gen 13 and this is like Gen 3 and Gen 4? Like, that makes sense, I guess.
Killraiser and Ripclaw in there?
Not in this one, but don't hold out, like, don't get disappointed. They might show up. I'm like, if I knew where she mentioned all of them, I would, because she like runs through a list at one point, and it had Shadowhawk in it and somebody else, and I was like, oh, okay, No, they actually haven't mentioned Brigade. They didn't in this issue. I feel like they might have in another one, but they've definitely like drawn people that were like, you're supposed to be like, oh, that's definitely this person, and that's definitely this person, but. Yeah, I don't remember where she issued that or listed them, but I was cracking up because I was like, it made me go back once again and be like, am I losing my mind? Like, it definitely makes you feel like you almost feel like you're getting gaslighted by Image into believing that these characters existed. And then we had Under York, issue 1 from Image Comics. I'm really excited to see where this goes. This was a great start to a new series. This is about a young girl, probably in her like early 20s, who has some witchy powers, but she is working as an artist. She's trying to make her way in the city of New York, and she's got her first big art show. And while she's at her art show, a sorcerer shows up and kind of takes over the whole thing. And she's like, I want nothing to do with this. What are you doing? Get out of here. Let everybody go. And we find out essentially that she is a part of this secret society of sorcerers, and she has been trying to lay in hiding from them for so long. And you also find out all the reasons why, but I don't want to necessarily tell you that. It opens up following a completely different character, and so we're definitely going to see how those two paths cross and connect as we move into issue 2. But this is one of those stories that really, really builds out the lore without any exposition, really until like the last couple pages, very quickly. Like you gave us really strong characters. I cared about them. She has a roommate who is both a really good friend and a really bad friend all at the same time. We've got some politician that everybody's like really intrigued with and following. And so like, I don't really know who I can trust and who I can't trust in this world. And that works so well with this character and her. You learn all her fears, you learn all of the ways that she deals with everything, and then as you like unfold what is actually happening in this Underyork, it makes total sense. This is honestly another one of those where it's like, this is how you start a series. This is so good of giving you everything you need and making you care about it right at the beginning. Superhumanity Volume 1, The Super Australians. And this was written and illustrated by 28 Australian comic creators. And it was something that was a project that Steve Ditko was working on with them years ago. And so they've kind of brought all of those stories in. But it is an anthology of stories of different superheroes or superpowered people, I guess I should say, all in Australia. And we see a couple different stories of how that would launch. This is another IPI comic that is kind of just giving us some more clues to their world. The first one is very short about Dr. Epoch, and then this goes into another story of people who are trying to stand up against racism and people who don't understand that there was a reason for so many of the fighting things that have happened in the past and that were supposed to have gotten better. And they're like, I guess as superheroes, we still have to stand against this kind of stuff. And so they are continuing to fight that. And then we meet another character who is Janiri, who is this like ancient goddess, essentially, that is coming to stand against all of these people and fight for the right thing, or maybe not. Like, she kind of just seems like she, some of the stuff goes a little far. I was like, how do I say this? I'm like, it's like, oh, I think she's a good guy, but like then there's like some crazy moments where like she doesn't necessarily like we're not sure what her rules are yet in this story. And then we have another group of people who we have a national park worker who also has some alien blood in him that gives him superpowers, and he is kind of trying to protect the world while also protecting the environment. And then we have one other story that's got these two, both a female superhero and a villain, and they are at odds with each other as they battle for some secret technology and things like that are happening. So just kind of gives us an overview into these characters that were all developed. Whether or not we're going to see any of them come up in other IPI comics, I'm not really sure. But it is kind of a cool thing that like Steve Ditko helped these creators kind of make this project, and just to see that it didn't get lost after his passing. We've got the Nacelleverse, issue 0. This is your launch point for the Nacelleverse. And if you are sitting at home going, what does that mean right now? That's what I'm here for, to tell you. So the Nacelleverse is a bunch more of your favorite 80s and 90s cartoons, including RoboForce, Biker Mice from Mars, Sectars, Power Lords, and the Great Garlu. All of these cartoons are going to have their own Inner-John style universe in the comic books from Oni Press, and this is your kick-off moment for that. The first comic coming out of this will be RoboForce. But this Nacelleverse issue 0 actually follows the Great Garlu. His home planet has been destroyed, and he is trying to figure out a new planet that he can go to live on and find some friends and a place to call home. And basically he goes to all of the planets of all of the different characters that were mentioned. So he goes to the RoboForce planet, he goes to he goes to Mars. I was going to say the planet the Biker Mice from Mars are from. That's Mars. He goes to the Sectars planet, he goes to the Power Lords planet, and we get to see all of them kind of come into their power structures. You know, we get to see them all have their transitionary moments or their big battle cries or things like that, and work with Garlu as he figures out what his home is going to be, which he does end up settling on a place. I was trying to find the Biker Mice, because I know everybody loves the Biker Mice from Mars, and there is a teaser for even more of the Nacelleverse to come in this issue. So if you didn't read it yet, I know I named 5 properties from that world of cartoons, but there is at least one more that is teased in here in a very big way. I'm trying not to get that far in the book so I don't spoil it. But yeah, if you are a fan of 80s and 90s cartoons and you are not reading comic books right now, you are missing out on every single property you ever loved having a comic book. They are taking over the nostalgia cartoon comics are all over the place right now. You know, we've got Darkwing Duck has like 3 titles. We've got the Energon Universe of Transformers and all the G.I. Joe. We've got the Gargoyles back. We've got all of these guys. There's somebody else. All the Disney ones. Obviously, we've got the Saturday Morning Adventures Ninja Turtles and the Saturday Morning Adventures Dungeons and Dragons. Like, if you liked cartoons and you're a part of the toy generation, they probably have a comic for what you love. And if not, ask for it because they'll probably bring it. Huh? Oh,
Mummy's Alive.
Oh, Mummy's Alive. I know, babe.
Right.
But you're like 1 of 5 people that remembers Mummy's Alive exists. If you also like Mummy's Alive, please just start tagging publishers to make Mummy's Alive books so that you and Matt and everybody that loves that show can be excited. I'm still holding out hope that Rainbow Bright's comic will come back. We haven't had it since 2019, so, it's the 40th anniversary of Rainbow Bright. Now's the time to pick it up. Publishers, let's go.
Jerry's in the chat. He says he remembers Mummy's Alive.
Thanks Jerry. All right, so we've got some picks of the weeks here, and I made the joke to Matt earlier today that I was going to say cats are the pick of the week because we have 2 great cat books to kick it off with. And first up, we are bringing you the newest one from the creators of Stray Dogs, which is Feral, issue 1. This is The Walking Dead with cats, essentially. I love that they call it, Jeff Johns' quote on the back is so intense. He's like, Feral is an iconic animal adventure series that brought me back to emotional tales akin to Watership Down and Animal Farm. And I'm like, Jeff Johns, why are you trying to make people sad before they ever read it? But if you didn't read Stray Dogs, it's essentially, what Tony Fleece and, Tris Forstner, I can never say her name right. I always get it wrong, right? What they do is they essentially bring you the cuteness of all your favorite, like, animated movies of animals and put them inside of horror films. And so this one brings us some cats who have been picked up by some pound workers, animal control, and they are taking them from their home to the pound for some reason that the cats don't understand, and something happens and the car flips over and is in an accident, and all of the cats go running away, and our main cat are left to kind of find each other. There are 3 of them, and the one lead cat has to find what she considers her little brother cat, and while they are out there in the woods, they are attacked by all kinds of animals that seem to be very rabid. So they are like, what is going on? What's happening? We need to get back to our family. We need to make it home. And so we are going to follow these adorable, adorable cats as they work together to make it through essentially what would be a zombie apocalypse for animals. I know that I'm going to probably cry at some point in this. I know there was tragic moments in Stray Dogs, but like, I have hope because I feel like Stray Dogs ended positively, so maybe this will too. But I do know that it's already setting up for things that are going to make me cry. But I'm just so happy that we have the books with cats, and they're not the bad guys. They're just there. They're like the characters, and they're not the evil villains. This is so fantastic. Thank you so much. And I know if you followed Stray Dogs, you know that every Stray Dogs issue and additional printing got a really cool movie variant, and so we have already seen one on this one, which I didn't bring with me, which I should have, and the second print is going to be a Halloween homage cover, so I'm super excited to see what they do with these cat covers. And speaking of great cat stories, we've got Man's Best issue 1 from Boom Studios, which dropped last week. I'm so excited about this. They call this Homeward Bound in Space, and that is such a great way to tag this. This is written by the creator Hornsack, I cannot say his last name, and I'm not going to butcher it, but who did The Good Asian, which was such a great book, and the artist of Hydra, which came out a couple years ago, which you can kind of see in the squares. That was a very beautiful one-shot. But this is the story of a cat and 2 dogs who live on a space station, and they are the property of the doctor on the space station who's doing all of the research on different things. And they have been trained to fight against what they call the clangers, and they kind of have their own little war room like the X-Men. And everything is going great. And what we find out from the humans, though, is that the planet that they're supposed to be going to terraform to get ready for humans is missing. And then as they arrive to where the planet should be, they're suddenly sucked into an atmosphere for something that wasn't on their radar at all. And everybody gets knocked out, bad things happen, and this cat and the 2 dogs find themselves suddenly alone on this planet, and they are having to face all of the things that they were worried about in order to try to save their human. And what they call the don't touch, which is what their human has called whatever scientific thing she's been working on the space station. It's so cute. The dogs and cats are named after the 3 Musketeers, except for the one little Frenchy bulldog who is named Lovey, who is supposed to be Aramis, but was super lovey, but as far as we know is actually the surly jerk of the group. It's great. The cat's the leader, so I'm in because again, cats Homeward Bound. Dogs rule, cats rule, dogs drool, kind of situation. We're getting to see that now where it's playing out. Obviously, this is a creator who saw that movie and wanted to give the cat their moment. Again, I'm probably going to cry. It's probably going to be beautiful, but I can't wait to see how these beautiful pets make things work. We've got D-Prog, issue 1 from Dead Sky. This is completely different from that. This is another one of those where I think the characters that you introduced and how well you introduced them and your concept really just made your number 1. This is about a detective named Tate who actually works as what they call a D-Prog. And they work to ensure that people who have been in cults, they basically go and pull people out of cult scenarios that they are stuck in, and then help deprogram them from the brainwashing that the cult did. And so they themselves had a cult experience. They were raised in a cult, born in a cult, and now they are trying to stop people. And one day, a beautiful blonde bombshell walks in, as always with the detectives, and is like, I need you to take this case. And Tate's like, I'm not taking your case. It's too close to home. I want nothing to do with it. Just because you're a beautiful, rich blonde doesn't mean I have to do what you say. And we see these 2 kind of have their little back and forth and kind of decide whether or not Tate's going to take on this case of the missing brother. Basically, our beautiful blonde bombshell has lost her brother to a scam, and Tate's like, I'm not getting involved. And beautiful blonde is like, you have to trust me. You have to save my brother. I need you. You're the best. I only work with the best. We've got to make this happen. And we get to see how Tate deals with their drama. We get to see how these 2 are going to connect. And we're going to see if Tate takes this case on when we get to issue 2. I already love Tate. She's surly. She's got all of her trauma. She's trying to deal with it. She's got the classic detective personality where she's rough around the edges and gritty. And I love this blonde bombshell. She's going to get us in so much trouble. I don't know if I trust her at all. But you never are supposed to, right? The blonde bombshell that runs into the detective's office, half the time they're involved with the mystery. So I don't know. They're doing a great job. They set it up so well, and I love everything about this book and all of the stuff that they've already put into it. It is definitely a mature title, which is why I did not show you the second half of the book, because the way they connect has some similar, they're both into some similar things that I can't show on the live stream, but it does make for really great character development really fast. And then we've got The Return of Something Epic, issue 8 from Image Comics, and the one-man artist himself, Simon Krasinski, who does the writing and the art on this beautiful story. If you have followed the show ever, you know that I made Something Epic one of my top books of last year. It won a ton of awards at the Baddies, and rightfully so. It's so great, and this is a whole new arc. So we've basically wrapped up everything at the end of issue 7. So many people were like, that could have been the end of the series. And so now we are introducing a new epic. And if you didn't read volume 1, epics are essentially people who can see the imaginary characters that you come up with in your mind, because everything you imagine in your mind becomes real to the world, but you can't necessarily see it once you get past a certain age, and other people can't see what you create. Epics can, and not only can they see it, they can interact with it, they can help save it, they can destroy it, as all things that we saw in the first volume. And this is a girl who works as a detective and has a private investigation company, essentially for lots of things, but the epics have always used her, and so she's worked with them. And a duck, who is very importantly pointing out that you should not call him Howard, with a very bad personality, shows up and is the detective that is working on this from the epic side, and they need to solve this mystery of all of these characters from the imaginary world that have started to either die or go missing. And there is a very big case that they need the help of one greatest detective that is from literature, being Sherlock Holmes. And as they go to investigate that, they find out that there is Sherlock himself is not somebody who's going to be able to help them, and they figure out the why and the how, and yet find out nothing all at the same time, because we are just opening up that investigation. I love that this is a completely different story. This isn't about one man and his imagination anymore, or the things he did. This is a detective story. It's new epics. It's new characters, new imaginary worlds that we're getting. And yet everything is built so big and so bold and so perfectly already, and I'm already 100% invested in this investigation. I'm all in on the characters that we're using. I cannot wait to see where this goes. There's way to like nail all of the detective stuff, all of the comedy, all of the seriousness, and yet still tie it back in with that first volume all at the same time. It just continues to be such extraordinary writing and so many different art styles blended together. You get Sherlock, you get Watson, you get Moriarty, you get all of the detectives from different things. It's gonna be so good. I cannot wait to see where this goes. I'm so excited about this new volume. It's a great jumping in point, honestly. If you didn't read Something Epic Volume 1 and you wanted to start here, you really could, because they explain all the little pieces you need and give you a whole new story. And then my last pick of the 2 weeks is Somna issue 3 from Distillery, and the great and powerful Becky Cloonan and Tula Lotay. This is the conclusion of this series. It is beautiful. It is wonderful. I hope with all of my heart that these two work together on everything ever in the world. But this is the story of a woman in the 1600s who is in, of course, like a village in the eastern colonies, and her husband is the witch hunter for the community. And at the very beginning, he is burning a witch, and we see all of the bad that comes with that. And okay. And then she starts having these very real, very like lucid dreams of a man coming to her and just kind of giving her all of the things that she's not getting from her husband, and yet all the things she wants from her husband. She wants to believe that the two of them can have this moment, and because he discovers that she is having these dreams, he believes that she is, of course, accepted the devil into her heart, because she could not possibly be wanting all of the very adult concepts that she is wanting. And so he, in this issue, has actually taken her in and accused her of witchcraft, and now she is going to have to stand trial. And he is like, I don't believe you're a witch. I can't believe it. I can't, but you have to turn back from whatever it is that you're into. And she's like, I'm not into anything. Like, I just wanted to be like seen and loved in all of the ways that I need to be seen and loved. And you get this great balance between the real world art being done by Becky Cloonan and this fantasy, like this dream world art being done by Tula Lite. It is absolutely gorgeous to see them balance out the storytelling and the art between the two of them. We're gonna see in this story, in this issue, you're going to see how this works for her. Does she, succumb to whatever this dark being that's coming to her is? Does she get tried and become burned as a witch? What's gonna happen? You're gonna find it all wrapped up in this. It is beautiful. It is amazing. And seriously, Tula and Becky make every book together for the rest of forever because it's so good. All right, we've got a bunch of other books in stock. I'm going to blow through them really fast. Rebel Moon, issue 3 from Titan Comics. This is the story that goes with Zack Snyder's newest movie that came out on Netflix. We've got Street Fighter Masters. This is, what is it? Ryu versus somebody. I can't read that. Akuma. Akuma versus Ryu. You always get these nice little one-shots where the Street Fighter characters are fighting. Power Girl. We've got a Ramona Fradon Women's History Month variant on issue 7 of Power Girl. They are doing these Ramona Fradon variants that highlight all of her characters since we did just lose Ramona recently. Penguin issue 8 as part of your Dawn of DC. We've got Philadelphia issue 34, the series that had ended and has come back to us, which I'm excited to see still going. Monstrous just celebrated its 50th issue. Congratulations to that incredible creative team, winning all of the awards and being incredible for forever. Jackpot and Black Cat #1 with that Adam Hughes cover. We've got Green Arrow issue 10, also part of your Dawn of DC. Conan the Barbarian from Titan Comics issue 9. This is taking him out of the Marvel verse and putting him back into the classic Conan world. Cable issue 3. This is part of your Fall of X storyline. We've got Avatar Frontiers of Pandora issue 2. If you are a fan of Avatar, the blue people, not the Airbender, you should be picking this story up. Thunderbolts issue 4 coming your way from Marvel. Ultimate Spider-Man 3 is out. You've been loving the Ultimate Universe. We are, Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Black Panther. Make sure you're grabbing those each time they come out. X-Force also celebrating its 50th issue this week. We had the return of X-Men, the cartoon, the animated series, but we also had issue 1 of X-Men 97, the comic book, to kind of lead into it. This is actually the X-Force 50 cover because I'm out of X-Men 97, but I just wanted to bring you that to show you that X-Men 97 launched this week. Rise of the Powers of X issue 3 out this week as well. We've got Obi-Wan Kenobi issue 6. This is going to follow along with your Obi-Wan Kenobi show and give you a little bit more. Miles Morales is apparently celebrating his 300th issue. I don't do Marvel math, but Marvel's Miles Morales issue 18 is his 300th issue. You've got this cool Garson collage cover, which I love, and a lot of other really cool variants on this oversized Miles Morales issue. Spider-Punk Arms Race issue 2 is out. If you are a fan of Spider-Punk, he's got a new series. Don't miss out on it. We've got Edge of Spider-Verse issue 2. This is this year's Edge of Spider-Verse run, and this is the introduction of the Spooky Man, who is a new villain in the Spider world. King Spawn 32, for those of you who are Spawn, keeping up with all that Spawn universe as it keeps growing and growing. Amazing Spider-Man #46. The Last Hunt from the Predator universe. This is issue 2 of that. Make sure you grabbed that one. Incredible Hulk #10. I know this was a really popular issue this week. Something big is happening with the Hulk. Harley Quinn issue 38. This is not the Suzumoka Cowboy cover. I am out of that. I know you all loved it. Alan's got Green Lantern issue 5 out this week. Marvel Gods issue 6. I believe I feel like we should be getting, I don't know if it's gonna end soon. I feel like I don't know how long that series runs. The Flash issue 7. There's multiple Flash stories going on right now too. Daredevil also hit in issue 7 with that new run, with that new creative team. Detective Comics issue 1083 from Ram V's line on Detective Comics. We've got a brand new Batman story I'm super excited about. I know this was one of Matt's books this week, but Batman Dark Age from Mark Russell and the All Reds. So excited. if you read Superman Space Age, this is the same creative team making another great book. I, again, love Mark Russell with all of my heart, and I love the all reds on art. Can I show some really cool all red art?
And such a commentary on Batman.
Again, I love this.
As a whole.
Yes, I love Mike Allred as an artist. I love Laura as a colorist, and I love Mark Russell as a writer. So this is just great to have them on a team. Yes, read this. It's so good. All right, some trade paperbacks in stock. We've got Ranger Academy Volume 1. I'm obsessed with this book, and I'm not even a Power Rangers fan. So if you are looking for something great, they say this is perfect for middle grade readers. I would agree. This is great for middle grade and young adult, really all ages. You're going to enjoy it. It's a 13-year-old girl who goes to Ranger Academy. We learn all new lore for the Power Rangers. Again, if you don't like Power Rangers, doesn't matter. It's still really good. Viscera Objectica. This is a new Silver Sprocket book about a tailor who is trying to stitch together his life in a completely new way, and it's going to go dark and creepy and crazy and make a beautiful, I love this, poetic and wonderfully charming story that opens the hearts and minds of the beautiful multifariousness of the human experience with love. I love Silver Sprocket books. Yeah, Matt's like, I'm taking that. It looks so good. See how pretty it is? This is Anna. This is a Fantagraphics book, and this is all about, it's a modern-day fairy tale about being too tall for a narrow-minded world. It's a feminist allegory of resistance and radical acceptance from a German comics artist. I'm very excited about this book as well. Also looks just absolutely great. Dracula x Frankenstein. This is a new Alien Books and Fair Square comic. You're bringing the Dracula and Frankenstein stories together in a really cool adaptation. Jonathan Harker is in this story, going to work with Count Dracula. Meanwhile, you've got Victor Frankenstein up to no good. I'm really excited, and I really like the artwork that these Alien books have been using. They are absolutely gorgeous, black and white, really detailed inking. So, Universal Monsters fans, don't miss that one. The Night Eaters, Volume 1. This is from your team that did Monstrous. I just told you they just hit 50 issues on that. This is the winner of 2 Eisner's Awards for Best Graphic Album and Best Multimedia Artist. I'm really excited about this. This was named a book we love by NPR even. And this is a limited run, 1,000 copies of this new cover on that. Creepshow Volume 2 trade paperback. If you missed this when this came out, I know we are out of that first issue in this volume, so this is the only way to get it. It's so great. It's got Garth Ennis, Becky Cloonan, Michael Walsh, Joey Thorogood, and Saladin Ahmed all working on the horror anthology greatness that is Creepshow. We've got Moon Knight, the newest volume of that. I know a lot of people are trying to keep up with that Jed McKay story, and it sells out so quickly, so we do have that newest volume for you. Lead City from Red 5. Matt, I was going to say Matt's going to cheer. This was one of his favorite stories a couple years ago when it was coming out. This is all about a family that's trying to make their way through the Old West, and they have to, the father has to participate in a battle to the death, essentially, in the Old West in order to get the money to save his family and his sick wife.
And the art is insane, and the creator lives here in Florida, possibly Tampa.
Really? That's amazing. Yes, great art, great story. And if you are local, please come to our store because we love this book so much. It was so good. And then we've got, getting you ready, we've got Deadpool Wolverine. This is kind of like a complete collection. It's basically got every time the two have like worked together or fought together. Getting you ready for that Deadpool Wolverine movie coming your way, as well as Deadpool Wolverine World War III. And then we also have Spider-Girl. This is the Modern Epic Collection for Mayday Parker. So you've got I believe you do have the What If, yes, from 1989. And then you have the Spider-Girl run that ran with it. So that Spider-Girl complete collection has not been in print in years. So this Modern Epic Collection is kind of the only way to get that Mayday Parker Spider-Girl story. So if you've been waiting for that, this is how you're going to get it. And then we've got new of the slab holders from our buddies at ACDC Carts. We've got this new Wolverine one, which is dope. I know. Man, Grandma sure does know how to paint. She's so cool. Local family, yeah. Just local to the area. We love them. If you've been in Bat City, you may have seen actually Alex from ACDC volunteering sometimes. Super cool. We've also got this cool Spawn one.
We actually have Spawn options.
Oh, you have Spawn options. You got the green one. You got the red one. That's so cool. Yeah. What is this?
Awesome.
Is this pink? Purple and pink. Dang.
That goes with your first appearance of Angela.
Oh, yeah, it does. Spawn 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that looked real sweet. And then we've got this. I've been obsessed with this one. I've been staring at these two all week. I think they're so cool. But we've got new amazing Spider-Man slab holders, and I love that web design on them. They look so cool. Yeah, these guys are so great. They do fit. These are made to fit the regular like modern slabs. They're $20. They do special custom, so if there's a character or a title or something that you're looking for, they can do custom ones. They also can make them custom for other size slabs. So if you have like a magazine slab, you got that Last Ronin and you need a specialty size slab holder for your Last Ronin, they can do that. If you've got like a Instagram or whatnot channel or something and you want to put your logo on it, they can do that for you. So, you can come in. We've got all of their information in the store. You can comment on here like, hey, how do I get in touch with ACDC Cards? We'll help you guys out with that. And they are so cool and amazing and wonderfully nice people. Again, it's father and son that make the slab holders and then grandma who paints them. How cute is that? It's so great. And she is a master painter. I love her so much. So make sure you support them. And speaking of supporting local things, don't forget this Saturday, April 6th, we're going to have our own in-store treasure hunt to go with Silver Vessels, Steve Orlando's newest graphic novel from Maverick, which is the teen imprint from Mad Cave. But this is going to be all ages acceptable scavenger hunt. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be some prizes. So come. That's going to start at noon with our Story Spelunkers learning how to solve clues. And then we're going to head out into the store to solve that mystery. And there is, again, some more fun to come with that. Also, this Friday and Saturday, we will be at the Bradenton Marauders games. They are at 6:30 both Friday and Saturday, the 5th and 6th, to kick off opening weekend. So if you're a Bradenton local, come out and celebrate the opening weekend for the Marauders. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's fireworks on Saturday night, so you don't want to miss that. Free Comic Book Day, May 4th. Put it on your calendars now. You're going to want to make sure you don't miss all the creators, all the fun activities, all the free comics. 11 to 4, May 4th. April 27th, 11 to 4, we've got Academic Avengers. Another great day of fun family hanging out and learning and doing cool things together. And then, of course, May 11th, Siesta Con from 10 to 7 down in Sarasota. Make sure you go online, get your tickets, and get ready for a day of panels and toys and games and celebrity guests and vendors and comic artists and all kinds of fun. It's going to be great. We will see you there and at all those other fun, amazing events. And, of course, we'll see you in the shop this week on Wednesday for New Comic Book Day. Until then, happy reading, everybody. Enjoy. I know I will be enjoying my Red Menace from Bad Kids Press. Thanks again, guys. This is incredible. Have a good night, everyone.